Down Park, where the home team, the Riders, can do nothing about the playoffs, but they can be the spoiler to the Calgary Stampeders, who have an outside shot at postseason play. The road to the Grey Cup continues on CBC Sports.
CBC Sports presents the CFL on CBC.
A year ago, as the market was crashing, so was the stock of the Ottawa Rough Riders. The market has recovered, the Riders haven't. A new broker was brought in 4 games into the season, but the Riders' stock continued to fall. A new quarterback and an outstanding rookie appear to be the only bonds or blue-chip stocks in an otherwise weak portfolio. In 1987, the Calgary Stampeders stock was rising. They were celebrating a win streak that propelled them into the playoffs. Now they've crashed. Their chief broker doesn't have the answers he had a year ago. He has searched this year for a starting quarterback. He's had 4. Eric Kramer is the 4th. Today, he makes his 3rd start, still looking for his first win. A year after the crash, the Stampeders and Rough Riders are trying to bolster the value of their stock. We welcome our viewers to the CFL on CBC, your Grey Cup network, coast to coast.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Carling O'Keefe, brewers of Foster's Lager, the Golden Throat Charmer. Petro-Canada dealers and agents. Our energy is Canada. And by Priority Post EMS Courier, your better business connection in Canada and around the world.
It's a lovely December day in Ottawa, except it's still October with 6 weeks to go in the CFL season. It's a must-win weekend for every team in the CFL, with the exception of Ottawa, long since out of playoff contention, and with the firing of Paul Robson committed to yet another rebuilding phase. The Calgary Stampeders would like to think they've done enough rebuilding to at least get to the playoffs. They're a long shot right now and pretty well have to beat the Rough Riders.
Divisions can be related directly to the problems both teams have had at quarterback. And today, Ron, the Ottawa Rough Riders have another new starter, but a face familiar to CFL fans.
Well, it sure is. Roy DeWalt, acquired from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Yesterday, Coach Weber said his tendonitis problems were behind him and that he has a few years left. So maybe DeWalt's the experienced quarterback they've been looking for. Mike Greenfield will back him up today. They would like not to use him. They want to see if DeWalt is capable of still playing football. On the other side, Eric Kramer with the Calgary Stampeders comes into a very, very tough situation. He's a rookie, no CFL experience, and the Stampeders desperately needing wins if they're going to catch the BC Lions. Now, the big thing that Kramer has going for him today is he's able to throw passes to 2 excellent receivers. Larry Willis caught 9 passes against Ottawa last time. He's got 1,100 and plus yards catching passes. But this is the guy I think that's going to get to work today, mainly because of the conditions. Talbot will have a chance to add to his 1,200 plus yards and his touchdown totals, and he caught 5 last week against Edmonton. Orville Lee still has an outside shot at 1,000 yards, and the big thing against Calgary last time, rushed for 148 yards, and with the footing today on the field, could be a good day to run the football. So Orville Lee could have a big day.
Defensively, both teams are counting on players who began the year with the Toronto Argonauts, Doug Landry and Dan Sellers.
Boy, it's really surprising to see these 2 guys with other clubs, but Doug Landry is the type of guy that has that little bit of enthusiasm on a football field that you need to make things happen, and Dan Sellers is a good pass rusher for the Ottawa Rough Riders. So I think they'll play prominent roles today.
The Calgary Stampeders, of course, still with a chance at a playoff berth in the West. They need a win this afternoon. Scott?
Well, Don, the Rough Riders made countless player changes this season. They also changed their coach, and so the general manager was the next to go. And on Monday, Paul Robson was fired. He will finish the season and graciously will join us live on Inside the CFL at halftime. Marketing a 1-14 football team, or any CFL team these days, it would seem, is a very difficult job. We'll have the first of a 2-part series on selling the CFL at halftime. The kickoff is next.
G'day. I've asked Rick here to teach me the barman's art of pouring a perfect Foster's Lager single-handed.
It is a miserable day in the nation's capital, and conditions are not likely to improve before this game comes to a conclusion. The temperature right at freezing, and it is not expected to improve dramatically over the next couple of hours, and the way it is snowing right now, it will probably remain white for the rest of the day. Jacques DeCarry is the referee in charge of this afternoon's game. He and the other members of the officiating staff, Bill Jones, Ed Dunn, Don Ellis, Bob Bryan, and Al McColeman, moving into position to get this game underway. The Ottawa Rough Riders will be receiving as the Calgary Stampeders line up and prepare to kick off. The only win for the Ottawa Rough Riders this season in his second game as head coach for Bob Weber against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at Winnipeg Stadium. Doug Landry, of course, started the year with the Toronto Argonauts, walked out, then was traded to the Calgary Stampeders. Mark McLaughlin, who did not start the year as the Stampeder kicker, he took over from J.T. Hay partway through the season, getting set to kick off to Derek White and Reggie Ward. There's a strong wind blowing, and it could have an effect on the kicking game very definitely. McLaughlin, 2 weeks ago against the Saskatchewan Rough Riders, kicked a field goal of 58 yards, the longest in Calgary Stampeder history, the third longest ever in the Canadian Football League. And as he moved up to that football, the wind blew it off the kicking tee. So I suggested that the wind could be a problem with the kicking game, and before the game is even underway, it creates some difficulties for McLaughlin, and he will now have David McCrary pin the ball on the kicking team as he gets another signal from referee Jacques DeCarry to get this game underway. Ward takes the ball at the 15-yard line, following that protection out to the 38-yard line, and that's where the Ottawa Rough Riders will scrimmage first and 10, but at the outset there's a pushing match involving Patrick Wayne and Matt Finlay. Patrick Wayne of the Rough Riders, Matt Finlay of the Stampeders, I should say, and Matt Finlay of the Stampeders.
Well, Roy DeWalt's getting a good initiation to Lansdowne Park today. I think he's got to get Orville Lee working with the football today. Kennever at the slot back along with Jerome Erdman. The offensive line, they only changed Irv Damon instead of Kerry Yelerenko.
DeWalt underthrows the intended receiver as he attempted to dump it off to Orville Lee. It will be second and 10. Orville Lee has accumulated better than 2,000 yards this season in kickoff returns, punt returns as a pass receiver and a running back.
Yeah, a big change on the defensive line to stop Orville Lee is Mitchell Price. Comes from the NFL tryouts this year with Philadelphia, was with the Ticats. The linebacking core with Landry, Ken Ford, and in the secondary, Chris Major leads the league in interceptions. It's going to get a test today, that defense. I think they got to get the ball to Orville Lee.
Pass is incomplete. It was intended for Jerome Erdman, and the Stampeders were blitzing that defensive back from the backside. Just about got to Roy DeWalt, but he was able to get that pass away. However, it is incomplete, and Tom Dixon now comes into the game, and he will be kicking against that wind.
A lot of people talk about the problems with playing on a day like today. You know, the receivers sometimes have the advantage on the defensive backs because they know where they're going, and with the footing being slippery. But the problem is whether the quarterback can get the ball there, because it's a tough day to throw it.
Stampeders going after it. They may have got a piece of that kick by Tom Dixon. McCrary was the lone man back. He takes it at the 50-yard line and is upset at the 52-yard line. It was Jerome Erdman who pulled the feet out from under David McCrary after a 27-yard kick by Tom Dixon.
Well, here's the hard thing for a guy like Eric Kramer. We mentioned it in the opening, Don. He's a rookie coming into a team that needs to win football games. It makes it very, very difficult on him. This is going to look at it from the reverse angle, Don. As you say, they put the pressure on right away, and why not? I believe they did get a piece of that because they did hit the quarterback, or the punter, and the referee was there, so they had to have touched the football.
Derek Taylor was the first man through to get a piece of that football, and it will be first and 10 for the Calgary Stampeders. Excellent field position at the 52-yard line. Doug Landry, who was also attempting to block that kick by Tom Dixon, slowly heading off to that Calgary bench. First and 10 from the 52. Kramer swinging it out to Tim Petrus, and Petrus takes it out of bounds at the 52.5 of the Ottawa Rough Riders, taken out of bounds by Rod Brown.
Not a bad thing for Kramer, the youngster, to do. You know, coming into a tough situation, hit that first one. He hits it to a reliable guy in Tim Petros. Good to see Andy McVeigh getting a chance now to start for the Calgary Stampeders. A new receiver, Stacey Dosky, at the wide receiver spot for the Calgary Stampeders. And on the offensive line, Mike Palumbo's back to offensive center for them.
2nd and 5. McVeigh is stopped right at the line of scrimmage by Ken Brayton.
You said it exactly right. He really stopped them. That linebacker, they tried to run that trap up inside. That inside linebacker stepped up and really put the helmet on him.
So Brayton comes through with a key play. The Rough Riders are trying to stabilize personnel. They made a lot of changes during the course of the season, but they now feel that they have some people in certain positions that they can build this franchise with.
And primarily on the defensive line. Johnny Lewis at the end, but Robert Weir's back, who was playing very well for him before he broke a bone in his leg, and Michael Klein is back at that defensive end. That's their strong spot right now.
Glenn Harper's kick is taken by Will Lewis, and Will Lewis continues to dance and try and hurdle people, and is stopped finally at the 13-yard line by Matt Finlay. 12:59 remains in the quarter. Roy DeWalt had only one practice with the Ottawa Rough Riders after being acquired in a trade with Winnipeg before last week's game against the Toronto Argonauts. He came into the ball game in the second half, and that was his record. 6 of 15 for 130 yards. 1 touchdown throw to Gerald Alphen. He doesn't have Alphen as a target this afternoon. Alphen will miss the balance of the season. He was the club's leading receiver because of 3 cracked ribs sustained in that game against Toronto. Orville Lee takes the handoff and is met right at the line of scrimmage. I think it's going to be tough for either side to run the football this afternoon.
Well, the only thing on that, Don, is if he can get the ball and get to the line a little bit quicker, when you don't have the footing along the offense and defensive line, it doesn't take much of a block to spring a guy like Orville Lee into the secondary, and then anything can happen. I'd like to see him get the ball 24, 25 times today.
Quincy Williams and Mitchell Price combined to stop Orville Lee. A gain of 1 yard. It will be 2nd and 9. DeWalt has time. He misses the target, Jerome Erdman, and the Ottawa Rough Riders again will be forced into a kicking situation. Roy DeWalt coming into the Canadian Football League with the BC Lions out of Texas and Arlington. He was a highly recruited quarterback, but the NFL teams wanted him primarily as a running back. And a lot of people who aren't familiar with Roy DeWalt's career might find that a little strange because he hasn't run the football very much in the last few years.
No, ever since he got that turf toe injury, and he's had problems with that on and off during his whole career. You're right, he has not run the football much. His problem is he just has never been comfortable dropping back to a 7-9 step drop and throwing the football. He usually throws quick.
Tom Dixon, a better kick this time. McCrary takes it, dodges one tackler, and gets down to the 30-yard line, but there's a penalty flag back at the 45. Patrick Wayne was there to make the tackle on David McCrary. A good return for the Calgary punt return specialist. The 38-yard punt that time by Tom Dixon, and the penalty against the Calgary Stampeders, taking the ball back to midfield, a holding call against the Stamps.
It appears the Calgary Stampeders have the wind advantage here in the first quarter. They've got to make a little bit of use of it. They're the ones that need to win this football game. They've got to get things in gear for them.
They must win at least 2 of their 3 remaining games if they hope to catch a playoff berth. Tim Petros, who has been a tower of strength all year for the Stampeders, simply powers his way for a first down. He got almost all of that on his own.
Boy, sure did. He was stopped at the line of scrimmage. Michael Klein had a shot at him. The first thing you know, he ran out of that tackle. Finally, Ken Braden, the inside linebacker, got him. You know, the thing we were talking about before the game, Don, a lot of times, and a good example of it here with Tim Petros, you see the trap play coming, but it's played very well by Klein. He took the trap away, but Petros kept going. And what we talked about before the game, it seems when you get to the cold weather and bad weather, the Canadians come to the front, and Tim Petros could have a big day today because he's used to this.
Well, Petros, who is a star with the University of Calgary Dinosaurs, turns that corner, should have another first down, or at least very close to it. Petros won of 8 University of Calgary products playing with the Stampeders.
And he seems to get better every year. You know, this year he's rushing for almost 700 yards now. He's averaging about 5 yards a carry. He's done a good job for the Stampeders. He started every game for them, which is more than you can say for Andy McVay. And I think McVay is good enough to play in that backfield with him.
With his third straight carry, he struggles. He had to get to about the 34-yard line for a first down. It will be close. Zeke Gadsden, the linebacker, came over to make the tackle.
That's one time it's good to be a little bit short. As he took the handoff and went in there, the linebacker was coming over the top. He ducked under him, and if he makes this first down, it's going to be because of his ability to twist and dive and fall forward.
They're going to measure to see whether he fell forward far enough for a first down. From up here, it looks as though he has. Well, it's about an inch shy of a first down, and I don't think there's much question that the Calgary Stampeders will go after it.
They have to go after it. When you're that close, any football team would go after it, but on a day like today, needing to win, you must make these first downs. You got to convert them, keep the drives alive.
Third down and inches. Eric Kramer in his third start as the Calgary Stampeder quarterback. He made his debut against the Saskatchewan Roughriders 2 weeks ago. He's under tremendous pressure in that ball game. Jake Christensen into the ball game. Mike Soroshka goes to the bench from that slot back position. On third down and an inch, and Kramer, the quarterback, keeps for the first down.
Okay.
Adding to the unpleasantness of the day, apart from the snow that is falling, is the strong wind that is blowing. It is a cold wind that is blowing across this Lansdowne Park playing surface. Roy DeWalt trying to stay warm at that Ottawa bench as Eric Kramer directs the attack for the Rough Riders, or for the Stampeders, from the 31-yard line. First and 10. Time count violation against the Calgary Stampeders.
You could see Eric Kramer was really upset with himself there. He got the blitz look that he was anticipating, or not anticipating, but he went to audible to a play to take advantage of it, and as a result, he used up the 20 seconds. But when you have that opportunity, you know you're going to get one-on-one coverage. You have a big play planned for it, and they have Willis and Tolbert to take advantage of that.
Those 6 interceptions that he threw last week against the Edmonton Eskimos contributed to that come from behind Edmonton win 32-29 at McMahon Stadium. Kramer may be intercepted again, and he is. Troy Wilson picks it off. And is caught from behind and brought down by Stacey Dawsey. So the Ottawa Rough Riders with an interception take over with 9:04 remaining in the quarter.
Well, we'll take a look at Eric Kramer on the rollout. You see him get a little bit of pressure. The ball gets up in the air, but they sent Willis to clear the area, and they're going to try to hit Tolbert. Now, we talk about Orville Lee's year. Here's a guy that's had the big year for Ottawa's defense. That's his 9th interception. He's played at that halfback, the inside halfback, and the corner. He makes a good return, and he gets them out of trouble. We said the pressure. Watch for number 89, Michael Klein. That's why they want him back in the lineup. Get to the quarterback. That's the name of the game for those guys up front.
Well, they've got people in that defensive setup who have been out of the lineup for some time. Robert Weir and Michel Bourgeot, for example, who were out something like 8 weeks. And Michael Klein, who missed the last 4 games. And these are key people up front for the Ottawa Riders. Rennie Watson on the receiving end of that Roy DeWalt throw, but he's only going to get a yard, maybe a yard and a half. And feelings continue to run high as Herb Damon is involved in a bit of a shoving match with a member of that Calgary Stampeder defensive unit. McCrary, who was in on that tackle, is requiring some help as athletic therapist Pat Clayton moves out onto the field.
When you try to look at what the problems are with a football team that Ottawa has this year and some of the things that's gone wrong for them, you really don't have to look any further, as we mentioned in the opening, at quarterback. But let's go a step further. Their 4 receivers today, their 2 wide receivers and 2 slot backs, have caught a total of 29 passes. Now, There's very few teams in the league that don't have maybe their third receiver catching 29 by himself. But when you total 4 guys up and come to 29, you know you have problems.
And another of the areas in which I think you could say the Ottawa Rough Riders have had some problems this year, in 5 of their 7 home games, the game star for the Ottawa Rough Riders is no longer with the team.
Well, yeah, that's tough. To be the game star and be released on Monday is a little tough to take. But they've had their problems, and they've got to put it together.
Penalty flag as DeWalt drops back to throw. And he attempted to dump it off, and the closest man to that throw was Nick Benjamin, and I think he's going to be called for deliberately grounding that football.
Well, he started to scramble. One of his receivers was trying to come back, but by then he was in the grasp of the defensive lineman for Calgary, and as he was going down, he just threw it in the ground, and the referee threw the flag. So it'll go back there, and it'll be 2nd down, or 3rd down now. He's going to be on Roy DeWalt. There's no doubt about this one.
And the call, as we suggested, is against Roy DeWalt, deliberately grounding that football in throwing to an offensive lineman, Nick Benjamin.
Yeah, watch right here now. Here comes the pressure. Stu Laird gets him. Now watch the ball. Watch all he does with it. He just tosses it forward about 3 yards. You're not going to get away with that.
Sean Faulkner is back for this 3rd down kick from Tom Dixon. Penalty flag on the play again as Faulkner is stopped at the 51-yard line.
You know, when you put a defense together like the Ottawa Rough Riders that's coming on the field right now, you mentioned that the injuries that they had up on the defensive line, the guys missing 8 weeks or so. But when you play a 3-4 defense, you must get consistent and enthusiastic play from the linebackers. And they have made many, many changes at linebacker this year.
David McCrary we saw being helped off the field earlier, and he is still getting attention from trainer Pat Clayton. And he appears to be favoring that left knee. That blocking from the rear penalty took the ball back to the 32-yard line. That's where Calgary scrimmages, 1st and 10. Over the middle, incomplete. It was intended for Larry Stacey Dawsey. Will Lewis providing the coverage on the Calgary Stampeder receiver. It will be 2nd and 10.
Send that backside receiver. You run a play action fake to the wide side of the field. Bring Dawsey, the wide receiver, on the short side into the middle, just a little bit high, and that allowed Will Lewis to knock it down.
The snow continues to fall at Lansdowne Park as the Calgary Stampeders scrimmage 2nd and 10 from the 32-yard line. Intended for Emmanuel Tolbert, incomplete, and there's a penalty flag.
We're going to get
I think it'll be a late hit.
Sure. They came with the halfback blitz. Andy McVeigh's checking out of the backfield. He got tripped up. That's who Kramer was looking for, and had he not got tripped up, he's wide open, but he was knocked down. Troy Wilson knocked down the quarterback. That's 15 yards.
So the Stampeders will retain possession of the football, and they will have a 1st down up at the 47-yard line.
Yeah, no need for that. I mean, the ball was gone. He came up high, hit him up around the shoulder. He paid 15 yards. Paid 15 yards for it.
7:05 remaining in a still scoreless opening quarter here at Lansdowne Park. Andy McVeigh was tripped up by the middle linebacker Ken Brayton, who had good penetration.
The Ottawa Rough Riders showed blitz all the way, and when you see the halfbacks and the safety up on the line of scrimmage, you can expect those linebackers to be coming hard, and Brayton got 3 yards into the backfield, and that'll shut down the run every time.
A gain of 1. It will be 2nd and 9 from the 48-yard line. Bob Weber, who took over 3 games into the season from Fred Glick as head coach of the Ottawa Rough Riders. 1 win, coming in his 2nd game as head man on August 13th in Winnipeg. Kramer will run for the 1st down. He's taken out of bounds and slides into the snowbank on the sidelines over by the Ottawa Rough Rider bench. They did a good job of clearing the snow off the field here at Lansdowne Park. as there was a covering of 3 or 4 centimeters when the workers arrived to remove the white stuff.
Well, watch the sprint to the right. See that receiver, that guy, number 30, that's safety man Kyle Hall. Well, that's fine to blitz the quarterback, but he finds a seam, and when your safety man's there, your defense is rotated. He found a lot of running room once he broke the line of scrimmage.
Inside the Ottawa 50-yard line, 1st and 10. Trying to set up the screen, and it's over the head of McVeigh, the intended receiver. It will be 2nd and 10.
Sneaky way to set up the screen. They had Petros lined up on the left and McVeigh on the right. They sent Petros swinging to the wide side, and then McVeigh come back underneath, but Ottawa wasn't fooled, and Kramer couldn't get the ball to him.
We talked about the problems the Calgary Stampeders face in trying to acquire a playoff berth in the West. They have to overhaul the BC Lions. Their 2 remaining games are against Saskatchewan and Edmonton, following this game today against the Ottawa Rough Riders. They have to win at least 2 of 3 and then hope for some help from other teams, particularly Edmonton and Winnipeg, the 2 teams that are playing the BC Lions.
That's tough when you don't control your own fate, and that's the situation they're in.
Penalty flag, and it is going to go against the Ottawa Rough Riders. Rod Brown, he was defending against Larry Willis, and in the opinion of the officials was just a little too close to Willis on that throw from Eric Kramer.
This is a tough call to make on Brown. Brown has him one-on-one with a help coming from the deep halfback. He had excellent coverage on him, and in reality, the ball shouldn't have been thrown, but they came out of it like a rose, because watch this. The ball's thrown. He's coming to the inside. You know, that's a tough call to make, and I don't know. I don't like it, and Rod Brown didn't like it, but if referee's looking at it, he calls it, you live with it.
Well, Brown reacted immediately as soon as he saw that piece of yellow nylon on the artificial turf here at Lansdowne Park. Faulkner into the ball game for McVeigh. Christensen in for Dossie. And the pitch goes to Faulkner. He slips as he tries to cut upfield at the 40-yard line.
You know, I was talking about Orville Lee going to run with the football, that sometimes with the footing like it is, you can find big holes, but sometimes that's going to happen to you. You try to make the cut, you'll lose the footing and slide on this artificial turf, and with the type of weather it is, it's almost like ice coming down right now.
Sean Faulkner, one of 3 former Ottawa Rough Riders, now playing with the Stampeders. The other are Ken Ford and Rudy Phillips. Second and 10. Kramer throwing deep to the sidelines. Nobody anywhere near that throw, as it was well out of bounds. I think the intended receiver was Larry Willis, and he is protesting that he was interfered with by the cornerback on that side.
Well, what Willis wanted to do is go down the field, turn to the inside like he was going to settle on a turn-in pattern, and then go back to the corner. Kramer threw the ball to the corner, but he wasn't able to get away. That's why he was talking to the official.
4:34 is the time left in the opening quarter, and Mark McLaughlin will attempt to put the Calgary Stampeders on the board with a field goal try of 47 yards. Glenn Harper will hold. And the kick is good as the Calgary Stampeders make it a 3-0 ball game with 4:16 remaining on a cold and snowy afternoon at Lansdowne Park.
Welcome back to Lansdowne Park, where at 10 o'clock this morning you couldn't see the field for 3 centimeters of heavy wet snow that covered it. It's still quite slippery now, even though it's clear. Most players have gone to the multi-cleat shoe for traction. Me, Don, I favor these $4 galoshes that you lent me. They're at least keeping my feet dry.
Well, Scott, you've got my galoshes, Ed Milliken's coat, Fausto Belwamini's umbrella. Is there any part of your attire that is your own? Remember the Boy Scout motto, always be prepared. To the line of scrimmage and no further, the Ottawa Rough Riders still looking for their initial first down of the ball game with 3:50 remaining in this opening quarter.
That's just what I was thinking, Don, when they ran that play. They've got to get some offense going. You know, they've struggled all year offensively. Anyway, they're only averaging 15 points a game. But sooner or later, they got to get some points. They got to at least get some first down.
DeWalt stumbled a little as he dropped back to set up and completes the pass Remy Watson makes the catch up at the 45-yard line, and that will be very close to a first down. Chris Major made the tackle.
Clear it out underneath. 3 receivers come out. The 2 inside guys clear it out, and then Remy Watson comes underneath. They got man-to-man coverage. They're going to be about a yard short. I think they got to go after. They've got nothing to lose. Let's go get it.
Absolutely nothing to lose. The Rough Riders, with their only win, as we mentioned earlier, back on the 13th of August against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. In case you've forgotten, the score in that game was 28-17 for Ottawa, and it was Orville Lee who had an outstanding ball game. Roy DeWalt going after the first down. He had to get past the 45-yard line. I think he just made it.
Oh, he went over it before they piled on him. He definitely went across that yard marker he needed. So they get the 1st and 10. As you say, their initial one of the ball game. They've got to get things going. They don't want Calgary to have the ball and the wind too long.
At the start of the game, the temperature was right at the freezing mark. It has dropped a degree since then. It is now -1 here in Ottawa. Orville Lee was met right at the line of scrimmage. An excellent move by linebacker Ken Ford.
Boy, I'll tell you, this is the way linebackers like to make hits. Ken Ford comes from the backside. Orville Lee tries to come to his left. Here he comes. Now watch, he wants to cut back, but watch what happens to him. Kenny Ford hits him straight on, straightens him up, and puts him down for like a half a yard. That's good defense.
Quincy Williams came in to help out, and Williams is hurt on that play as well. Eugene Beliveau also limping off. But the man who made the initial contact appears to be okay. That's Ken Ford.
You know, it's one thing about the hurts when you get them hit in this type of weather. They hurt a little bit more. You know, you don't ever really get completely warm and loose. So, I mean, they hurt just a little more.
Kent Warnock goes into the ball game in place of Eugene Beliveau. It will be 2nd and, well, let's call it 9, as Orville Lee got just beyond the line of scrimmage on that last play before being stopped by Ken Ford. Here comes pressure again. Laird going after quarterback Roy DeWalt. He managed to get the ball away to Warren Hudson. And Mike Hudson should have a first down up to the midfield stripe and beyond.
Well, this is the type of pattern that Roy DeWalt threw with a lot of success when he's with the BC Lions. It's a quick sprint to one side or the other, this time to his left, and they just send the outside receiver to the post and take the inside receiver to the sideline, throw it to him quick. See, he sprints out. Now, Stu Laird's going to put a good hit on him, but he gets rid of the football, and Hudson's going to make the first down for him. This is the type of stuff Roy likes. Throw it quick.
Remy Watson wide to the right. Reggie Ward to the left. First down draw play to Orville Lee, and again, Lee is stopped by Kenny Ford.
Well, he needed that block. He needed the block from Nick Benjamin. He had made the proper cut to the outside. 68 was in a position. He didn't see Orville Lee, and as a result, Ken Ford escapes unblocked and makes the tackle.
Well, those visors are an advantage in that they do protect against eye injuries, but on a snowy day like this, they could be something of a problem. I think they are fogging up a little on some of the players who are wearing them.
I had to put windshield wipers on.
The ball's in trouble. He escapes. He's going to run it. And he slides safely into the 30-yard line.
DeWalt showed a little bit of that running ability you talked about early. He picks up 23 yards. The best move he made was when he got turned upfield, the Calgary defensive player was coming to him. He just stopped. The guy slid right by, and then he was clear. He does a good job escaping pressure. Pressure's going to come. They look like they got him inside. He gets outside of it, which is what you don't want a guy like DeWalt to do. But right here, he's going to stop. He hesitates. Right here, guy slides. Now he's got some open territory, and he picks up 23 yards, slides in, and look at him slide. Good job. Let's watch Orville Lee make a block for him. Throwing at Greg Peterson. He missed him, but he did a good job. Just shielding. Don't allow him to hit your quarterback. That's the big thing.
DeWalt slid right underneath the would-be tacklers, and Hopkins was one of them, and it was a collision among the 3 Calgary defenders. trying to stop Roy DeWalt that resulted in the injury to Ron Hopkins.
Now, this could be a tough one. I don't know. You know, with Dave McCrary already limping a little bit out of that secondary, now with Hopkins out there, it's a good thing they have Bruno Jeremiah and Darcy Kopp, because they may need both of them.
Well, yeah, most teams will go into a game with just one backup defensive back dressed. Calgary Stampeders throughout most of the season have had two defensive backs dressed in a backup capacity.
Yeah, most times that's their special teams. There they are, Don. The three people collide. It looked like number 74, Mitchell Price, is the one that hit Hopkins and caused the injury. He's holding his shoulder a little bit, holding that arm, right shoulder going off the field. So this puts McCrary, and good thing he's back because he has to go to the corner.
Darcy Kopp goes to safety, and Peterson to the inside halfback position. 1st and 10. DeWalt throwing to the sidelines, incomplete. It was intended for Jerome Erdman, and Erdman slipped as he was going down the sidelines, and DeWalt underthrew him just a bit.
Well, it's a tough throw, number one, even on a nice day, but on a day like today, to be able to get that ball out there when a guy's running down the sideline, he threw it short where it had to be, but Erdman couldn't stop and come back.
Larry Moore comes into the ball game, replacing Orville Lee. It is 2nd and 10 Ottawa. The ball at the 32-yard line. This should be the final play of this opening quarter. Calgary in front by a score of 3-0. DeWalt will run it again. He's going to be about a yard, maybe 2 yards away from a first down. He had his feet pulled out from under him by Lamont Jeffers. That is also the final play of this opening quarter as the gun sounds, and the Ottawa Rough Riders will have to make a decision to start quarter 2. Well, I said to start quarter 2, the Ottawa Rough Riders would have to make a decision. I thought they'd gamble on 3rd and about a yard and a half. They have opted to send in Tom Dixon. Now, on the previous play, Roy DeWalt was the ball carrier. Jim Reed was out there trying to block. Watch what happens to Reed, and that is an elbow smash to the back of the head by Derek Taylor. There was no penalty flag on the play. Taylor was rather fortunate there that that move was not picked up by the officials. Tom Dixon with the field goal attempt, and it's good, and the score is tied at 3.
Yeah, that kind of shot that Taylor put on Jim Reed, that's the reason for all the pushing and shoving at the end of the quarter. These two teams, for some reason or other, look like they want to fight a little bit today. Maybe they figure if they're going to have to play in this weather, they're not very happy. But anyway, Dixon's got to be happy. He kicked the field goal. They get awful excited here when they make a field goal.
Well, it hasn't really been a vintage year for Tom Dixon in the field goal department.
You know, Don, I thought there was something wrong with this snap because it took a long time, but we couldn't see it from our angle. But from the reverse angle, you can see Erdman showed pretty good hands in being able to control it and putting it down for him.
Coming into the game, Dixon had been good on only 19 of 36 field goal attempts. And earlier in the year, the Rough Riders were deprived of victory in a couple of games when Dixon miscued on field goal tries. Sean Faulkner, the ball carrier, he picks up about a yard before being stopped by Michael Klein. Larry Kuharich, the head coach of the Calgary Stampeders, came into this game in a rather optimistic frame of mind, but like the rest of us, he wasn't anticipating this type of a day.
No, it was a pretty nice day here yesterday. I know we knew it might rain a little bit, but no one was expecting the snow.
Kramer gets away from the pressure, but trying to dump it off to Emmanuel Tolbert, underthrows the slot back, and the Calgary Stampeders are forced into a kicking situation.
Kramer did a good job escaping problem, and Tolbert did an excellent job of finding the hole wide open, but Kramer couldn't throw it back across his body to Tolbert for the completion.
It's tough for a rookie to come in as a starting quarterback, and it's even more difficult to come into a game in conditions such as this.
Yeah, he's got to have enough problem just learning the offense and trying to get to know his personnel. And in big games that Calgary are playing right now, and then to hit this weather, it's disappointing.
Glenn Harper's third down kick bounces to Will Lewis. Still on his feet, and he dives back to what would have been the point where he initially took that football. 13:27 remaining in the half.
The Calgary defense is back on the field, but without cornerback Ron Hopkins, who suffered a separated shoulder late in the first quarter. He's gone to the Calgary dressing room. Will miss the rest of this game and perhaps the two after this. Don?
Well, of course, that is a blow for Larry Kuharich and his Calgary Stampeders. Ron Hopkins, one of the strong cornerbacks in the Canadian Football League. Let's see if Roy DeWalt will attempt to take advantage of his absence. Dumping it off on the screen to Orville Lee. Got a block from Benjamin. Gets another from Warmy Watson. And Orville Lee takes it down to the 45-yard line.
Was a very well executed play. You know, they allowed the receivers to get downfield 12, 14 yards and get those linebackers out and then dump the middle screen to Lee. Now watch the block. You can see number 81, Watson, just setting this block up perfect. He'll be at the left side of your screen. He's coming in right here. Puts the block on number 20, Chris Major, and that allows Orville Lee to get outside. Well executed.
A gain of 28 yards on the screen to Orville Lee. DeWalt fakes the hitch screen, now goes deep. Incomplete. In and out of the hands of Mike Hudson.
Good job. You know, they threw the hitch screen. This is the screen out to the receiver, and they bring him out to block for him. This time he fakes it, and then they run deep. Right in the hands, but he can't hang on to it. A little bit slippery, and he drops it.
Darcy Kopp was the defender Mike Hudson had beaten on the play. But unfortunately for the Ottawa Rough Riders slot back, he was unable to squeeze the throw from quarterback Roy DeWalt. It's 2nd and 10. DeWalt going deep. He's got his man wide open. Reggie Ward makes the catch. No. They're ruling that he did not control that ball. He was wide open.
That's just a complete breakdown, and from our angle, it looked like he caught the football, but I think if we get a good look at this from our reverse angle, maybe we'll get a shot. The ball definitely went through his hands. Boy, is he wide open. Good job of blocking. Time to throw it deep, but watch this. Ball's coming. He's so far in the open. Watch it slide through. There it hits the ground.
The advantage of the reverse angle.
Boy, that's a good job by Reed. Makes a heck of a block.
3rd down kick by Tom Dixon. McCrary takes it a yard deep in the end zone and is brought down at the 13-yard line as the man who made contact with him was Alex Troop with 12:17 remaining in the half after that 46-yard kick by Dixon.
Welcome back to Lansdowne Park, where eye protection is suffering somewhat because of the weather conditions. Virtually every lineman who wears these visors has had to have them taken off his helmet because of the snow and ice buildup on it he can't see. Don?
Well, we suggested earlier, Scott, that was a problem, and in fact, as we see, and you have reported at that Calgary bench, they are removing the visors from those helmets. Tim Petros, the ball carrier, and he continues struggling for a gain of about 3 yards.
Let's try to run that trap inside. Calgary likes that trap play. This time they bring Craig Watson from his right guard position. If they can hit it quick and hit the seam, there's a lot of running room. But you got to make sure when you take your safety men out of the middle that those defensive linemen pinch. And they pinched inside and shut it down.
Well, playing on a snowy field will be a new condition for many of these players in today's game, but for the man who carried that football, Tim Petros, it's really nothing new. As a matter of fact, I think he played in the Vanier Cup one year where it snowed throughout the entire game. Sean Faulkner picks up just a couple of yards, not enough for a first down. Eric Kramer heads off to the bench, and the Stampeder punting unit comes out.
Ottawa's going to get good field position. In the last series of plays they had the receivers open for touchdowns and couldn't hang on to the ball, so you're going to get another shot at it from inside the Stampeder midfield.
Glenn Harper stands at the 5-yard line. Will Lewis and Orville Lee are back for this 3rd down kick.
Let's go, baby. Let's go,
Lee will field it at the 50. And the Ottawa Rough Riders will scrimmage 1st and 10 from the Calgary 43-yard line. absolutely correct in assessing how his team has prepared for each game. A large distraction almost every week. And he said, in getting ready for this one, I have no idea. I can't read our team in their preparations leading up to the game.
Well, when you have that many distractions week after week, the rest of his quote yesterday is when he said, you know, I haven't been able to read the club this week. Well, I can understand why. They didn't have a very pleasant week this time either.
DeWalt throws to the sidelines looking for Reggie Ward, incomplete. DeWalt's been getting pretty good protection.
He had a lot of time to throw. He's coming back to a receiver that was kind of just a receiver. His pattern was to the left side. He had to scramble to his right. You saw him signaling Reggie Ward to come back so that he could throw him the ball, but Ward slipped, and that allowed Major to come back with him.
DeWalt needs this game as a personal confidence builder.
Yeah, it's been a very tough year for him. You know, he had a lot of success in the CFL, but this year hasn't been his season. That tendonitis that he had back in July bothered him for a large part of the season in Winnipeg, and now, just as you say, for his own satisfaction.
Oh, Jim Reed takes the throw. He puts his head down, and he drives to about the 12-yard line.
Well, again, you know, we say Petros likes to play in this kind of weather. He doesn't like it, but he has a lot of success. A guy like Jim Reed's seen all kinds of weather, and you get the ball. This is when speed's no longer a factor. It's traction. And watch the big guy. He's outside. He just keeps those feet, stays nice, good balance, makes it tough. Those defensive backs are the ones that are having trouble with their footing, and Reed's down there around the 10-yard line.
Now, he didn't really accelerate once he grabbed that throw. He just kind of lumbered down those sidelines, trying to maintain his balance. Watson couldn't catch the football. He had Chris Major on him. Darcy Kopp picked the ball up and started heading downfield, but the whistle had gone. It's an incomplete pass.
Not a bad pattern to throw down there. They bring Jim Reed in motion, clear that area out, and then bring Watson and Ward, the wide receivers, under. This time Watson dropped the football, and they rolled it an incomplete pass.
Well, it was snowing this heavily at about 9:30 this morning. Then around noon it eased off, and just before the game started it appeared as though the snow was going to stop. However, the rain that they had forecast for this afternoon is white. It has started to snow even heavier than it was earlier today.
You get around that freezing point, it's got to be very slippery.
Again, an incomplete pass, and Remy Watson this time is protesting to the official rather vehemently that he was interfered with by Chris Major.
We're going to have a big blow-up, I really believe, before the day's over. Nick Benjamin this time gets in a little shoving match with Quincy Williams. Irv Damon comes to get involved. I think before this is over, they're going to have somebody straighten it all out because they've been pushing and shoving every play.
9:40 the time remaining. The Ottawa Rough Riders attempting to break out of this 3-all deadlock. A field goal attempt by Tom Dixon from 20 yards away. Dixon has been a perfect 8 for 8 from 20 yards this season, and he's 9 for 9. Dixon's problems have occurred in the 30 to 39-yard range, where he was good on only 6 of 12, and from 20 to 29 yards, 4 of 9. 6-3 Ottawa.
Tomorrow afternoon, Anthony Cherry and the BC Lions, trying to secure a playoff spot in the Western Conference, take on the Eskimos at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. The Eskimos are trying to secure first place in the West. Their defense is led by Brett the Toaster Williams. Capturing the moments. The CFL on CBC. BC at Edmonton, tomorrow afternoon at 3 Eastern.
22 months ago, as he left Winnipeg for Ottawa, Paul Robson said he couldn't resist the opportunity to build a football team from the foundation up. Not much has gone right for Robson in Ottawa. He's been fired, but he'll finish up the season here. He'll join us live on Inside the CFL at halftime. We'll have the first of a 2-part series on marketing the CFL as well. Don?
It will be interesting, Scott, to hear Paul Robson's comments about his personal situation and what he plans for the future. Willis on the receiving end of that Kramer throw. Rod Brown made the tackle.
The only real success teams have had today completing the passes are the slants, the down and a quick slant to the inside by the wide receivers. Everything else has been either too far, going through their hands, or being underthrown. So maybe they have to throw the ball inside.
Second and about a yard and a half for the Stampeders. McVeigh trying to get outside. He is prevented from getting there by Ken Braden, the middle linebacker.
Well, I think he's going to actually maybe lose a yard or so, depending on where they mark this, but he never, ever got the shoulders turned upfield to run in a straight line. As you say, Braden was there to make the tackle. That's about 3 times today Braden's been there to stop him when he's had to do it for Ottawa.
It's tough to talk in a positive vein about a team that has only won 1 game. But when you look at their 4 linebackers, Zeke Gadsden, Ken Braden, Gabriel De La Garza, and Ben Hummel, the Ottawa Rough Riders appear to be pretty well set in that particular area for next year.
Plus, you know, they got Dan Sellers there also. So they got 5 pretty good linebackers with Pat Wayne and Alex Troop behind them. So they're all young.
Third down kick. Bounces to Rod Brown. He alertly grabbed that football when he had a downfield tackler trapped within that 5-yard area. And I think that is going to be the call against the Calgary Stampeders. Not providing sufficient yardage, although the player that was trapped did not get involved in the tackle.
Well, it had to be a heck of a surprise to Rod Brown because, number one, his job is to block the outside man, which he was in position to do. As he turned around, the ball was there. So he's going to be close to that guy. That's his man.
Larry Kuharich isn't impressed with the call. Bob Weber has ventured out onto the field to get a better view of where they are placing that football. And they are going to move the ball up to the 53-yard line. That's where the Ottawa Rough Riders will scrimmage first and 10 with 8:04 remaining in the first half. 6-3, the Ottawa Rough Riders lead. Hand off to Orville Lee. Lee is stopped after a gain of just a couple of yards.
It's that counter play where you start to your right and then they pull the backside offensive lineman, in this case Irv Damon and Nick Benjamin. They come back and then Orville Lee does too. The problem was Orville Lee couldn't get stopped to come back, and he was too far away from his blockers. By the time he got there, the defense had reacted.
And with Gil Fenerty of the Toronto Argonauts out for the rest of the season, it could be that Orville Lee will emerge as the rushing champion for the 1988 season. And I think the referee, Jacques Decarie, just had words with the captains of the respective teams about another incident that just took place. Lamont Jeffers and Roy DeWalt were called to midfield by Jacques Decarie as Doug Landry and Irv Damon, after that last play, got into another shoving match. There have been far too many of those incidents this afternoon. Second down, DeWalt's pass, a wobbler over the head of Jerome Erdman, and the Ottawa Rough Riders will be forced to kick.
Well, the Ottawa Rough Riders have been taking the 2 inside receivers and clearing them to the outside and bringing Remy Watson underneath. This time, they take Watson and Reed, send them inside, and send the inside receiver out, and DeWalt just threw a bad pass.
7:28 remains in this first half. 6-3, the Ottawa Rough Riders lead the Calgary Stampeders. Tom Dixon stands at his own 40-yard line for this third down kick. David McCrary is the lone man back for the Stampeders. Not a good kick by Dixon. That would almost seem to slip off the end of his foot. And this could be a pretty good run back by McCrary. He was tackled by the last man who really had a good shot at him, and that was Patrick Wayne. That was a strange kick by Tom Dixon. That ball almost seemed to come off his toe.
He almost missed it. It looked to me like he almost missed the football, and as a result, he was lucky that the field was icy and the ball took a forward bounce for him.
We saw McCrary in the first quarter shaken up, and he is still feeling the effects of that hit he took on the knee. It has been anything but a vintage season for Tom Dixon. First and 10 from the 34-yard line. Kramer loses the football. Who's got it? It is Ottawa ball.
Ottawa Rough Rider defense showed a blitz and then dropped out of it into a zone, and they got good pressure inside, and you could just see that ball slip out of Kramer's hand, and it was laying there a long time. Watch him. They're all up close, but the linebackers will drop out of there on the snap and only a 4-man rush. And it looks like number 89, Klein again, just gets his hand. Now watch this. They reach for it, and he just can't get it. Ben Hummel looked like he was going to get it, and finally the Riders do recover, so they're in a good position with 6 minutes left.
Ken Braden came up with the ball. DeWalt throws deep down the sidelines for Watson. It's incomplete. Knocked away by Major. For a moment, it appeared as though Watson had his man beaten.
He did have him. There's no doubt about it. That play was designed for DeWalt to take a quick drop and throw it quick. He couldn't throw it quick, so he had to come back, and he tried to lay it down the field. Watson was behind Major. You have to give Major credit for coming back. DeWalt just couldn't get anything on it.
6:32 remaining in the half. 6-3, Ottawa leading Calgary. Tom Dixon with a pair of field goals. Mark McLaughlin with a field goal for Calgary. 2nd and 10. Way over the head of Jerome Erdman. And that means Tom Dixon comes into the ball game to attempt his 3rd field goal of the afternoon.
They had the right play called. They had Darcy Kopp coming on a safety blitz from outside. Jim Reed saw him coming and blocked it perfectly. They had the ideal play call, and DeWalt threw it over his head.
I said earlier that Dixon was good on only 19 of 36 field goal attempts this year. 9 for 9 now as the result of an earlier kick from under 20 yards, 4 of 9 from 20 to 29 yards, 6 of 12 from 30 to 39 yards, and just 1 of 7 from over 40 yards. This field goal is good, but there are penalty flags back at the line of scrimmage. The whistle had gone before the ball was kicked.
You know, it looked to me like he used his 20 seconds.
He did.
Kind of surprising to use 20 seconds, but I was watching the clock tick down. It was getting close, and the referees, the whistles were blowing before the ball was ever snapped.
Things just aren't going right in any way, shape, or form this year for Tom Dixon.
No, now he gets to go back to his favorite range, 40 yards.
He's only been good on 1 this year from 40 yards. And he improves upon that record as he puts it through from 40 yards away. His 3rd field goal of the game, 9-3. The Ottawa Rough Riders lead with 5:48 remaining in the half.
40 yards out, he hit it. He knew it was good as soon as he hit it, didn't he? You know, Dixon could be a candidate for our Foster's Lager MVP award today. You know, we've given him so much static here because it seems like the games that we've done, he's missed field goals in crucial situations. He's got to be a happy young man today.
Well, he's 3 for 3. And Carl Fodor has now moved in at quarterback for the Calgary Stampeders. Draw play. And there's just no room to run for Tim Petrus.
You know, these kind of football games are really weird. Now, you would think the Ottawa Rough Riders coming in here today, hey, let's get this season over with. It's been a disaster. But when that game starts, the longer you allow an underdog to be in the game, the harder it is to beat them. And right now, they've got a lot of enthusiasm on the field.
Carl Fodor replacing the starter, Eric Kramer, on this sequence. 2nd and 10. Being chased by Hummel, throwing on the sidelines, incomplete, intended for Larry Willis.
I think you're better off today as a quarterback to stay back in the pocket where when you do get your feet set, you can throw the ball. That time Fodor tried to scramble outside, and you can see he's really having trouble getting his footing. You cannot throw the ball downfield when you're off balance like that.
Well, one of the criticisms of the Calgary Stampeder offense all season long, regardless of who they had had in at quarterback, is that they have been a right-handed passing team. Willis and Talbert line up on the same side. The 2 players over on the left-hand side, in this case, Stacy Dossie, the wideout, and Mike Soroshka, the slot back, don't get many passes thrown in their direction.
No, I think you overplay them all the time.
Glenn Harper did a good job of hauling that snap from center down and getting the kick away, and Zeke Gadsden will attempt to return it. He fumbles the football, And Ottawa manages to get it. Knocked out of bounds by the Rough Riders.
Will Lewis made a great play. When that ball came loose, Will Lewis has been there long enough to know you don't need possession. Bat it out of bounds. Don't try to grab it on that slippery turf. He just reaches down and swats it out of bounds. Boy, look at the snap. That's a heck of a play just to get it by Harper. I'm surprised they missed that one. But here it is. Now we're going to see it. Gatson ends up with the football. As we say, he's not designed to get it, but watch the ball come loose. Chris Major, it looks like, knocks it out of his hand. And 21 comes in from the outside, and he does the wise thing. Take it and flip it out of bounds.
It's dumped off to Jim Reed, and Jim Reed, in trying to run that screen, is surrounded by 4 Calgary tacklers, led by middle linebacker Doug Landry.
Jim Reed doesn't like somebody down there. I've never seen Jim Reed get upset before, but this is twice today, and he wants to go after somebody.
I think Doug Landry may be the target of his affection.
Oh, I can't believe that. Not meek, mild Doug Landry. Doug does keep things. He talks the whole game. He yaps the whole game, and he will let you know that he's in control out there. Now, it's good in some instances. Sometimes it gets you in trouble.
The pitch this time to Overlee for a first down to the 50-yard line.
See, that's a chance. That's one of the things we talked about earlier. He could get outside, and he got his footing and got headed upfield. The rest of the defense can't. They're sliding by him. See, he gets planted. They can't make the cut to hit him, and he gets going upfield and makes good yardage.
First and 10. The ball is at the 51-yard line, and on that running play by Orville Lee, Jim Reed went after Doug Landry, and the two are in quite a battle as Reed was blocking on the linebacker. Orville Lee, the ball carrier, for a gain of 3 with 2:49 remaining in the half. The Ottawa Rough Riders leading by 6. Bob Weber on the sidelines, the head coach of the Ottawa Rough Riders, and at the conclusion of the game, we will be choosing our Foster's Lager game MVP. 9-3 is the score right now on a -1 degree afternoon in the nation's capital, with snow continuing to fall as it has since early this morning. DeWalt going to the sidelines. It's incomplete, intended for Hudson. He was bumping over there with the defensive back, Derek Taylor. And DeWalt immediately pleads his case to the official.
If you look over on the side, now DeWalt's doing the talking, but Coach Weber's also right out on the field, about 10 yards on the field. He was doing a little complaining also. As they turned upfield, there was some pushing. But on a day like today, you're going to get it because no one can get their footing straight to just turn and run.
David McCrary, the lone man back for this third down punt by Tom Dixon, who has been a star this afternoon for the Ottawa Rough Riders with 3 field goals and a much better punt this time. Kind of a line drive effort that McCrary takes. Got away from Larry Moore. Finds some room down the sidelines and returns it to the midfield stripe. Fumbles the football. But I believe the whistle had gone.
Whistle's going to save him, but that was a good return by David McCrary. Can't get his footing very well, but it's just as hard on those defenders trying to make tackles. They don't get their footing either, and he ran through about 3 tackles.
A 38-yard kick and a 43-yard return by David McCrary. Somewhat surprising that they're keeping McCrary out there on that punt return unit after banging up his knee in the first quarter. If you're just tuning in, there's nothing wrong with your television set. That is actual snow falling in the nation's capital. Carl Fodor remains at quarterback, and Andy McVeigh fumbles the football. Ottawa's got it. John Lewis comes up with that loose ball, and the Rough Riders take over with 2:14 remaining in the half.
Well, if you're a Calgary Stampeder fan, you've got to be concerned with the chances that they've given to Ottawa today. As we said earlier, Don, if you allow an underdog to stay in the game, he's going to beat you. And right now, it's going Ottawa's way. It's just a handoff. It's a straight-ahead play. The reverse angle shows us that McVeigh tries to cut back inside, stumbles, but there goes the football, and Ottawa's got a chance to score some more points.
You know, at times like this, you wonder just how demoralizing that previous loss may have been to the Calgary Stampeders. They seem to have things under control against the Edmonton Eskimos and then lost it in the dying moments 32-29. A very important game for Calgary in that they could have really been in the thick of a playoff chase had they won that game.
And, you know, it looked like they were going to win the football game. When you lose the game because of blocked punts and an interception deep, and then Damon Allen puts it in the end zone to win for you, you know, that is a discouraging loss to the Calgary Stampeders. And it's really put them behind the 8 ball, but even more so now. They've got to get something going.
DeWalt attempting a center screen on the first down play to Jim Reed. It fell incomplete. DeWalt throwing to the sidelines. A wobbly pass that is intercepted by Peterson. And Peterson is up to the Ottawa 48-yard line before being forced out by Orville Lee. That was a bad throw by Roy DeWalt.
They're sitting in his own defense deep, and he's going to try to beat them. No way. You can't throw the ball as far as he has to throw this. Watch. This ball's going to have to go 60 yards, and you can't grip it well enough to throw it that far. Like, I was a little critical of his call the last time, but as you say, Don, that's not a good call. That just gives field position to Calgary, and you're allowing them back into the ballgame.
1:59 remaining in the half. 1st and 10 for the Stampeders. Following that interception by Greg Peterson, the ball is at the 48-yard line. Fodor screening to Tim Petrus. He's having problems getting his balance. He'll get 8 yards, however, and there's a penalty flag as well.
Well, I was watching for the flag. It had to come. I mean, we could see it from up here, but a heck of a clip. Colombo hit Braden right in the back as Braden was trying to pursue it. Finally, the guy saw it, threw the flag, and they're going to get the 10 yards.
So that will not only take away the 8-yard gain, but put the Calgary Stampeders now in a 1st and 20 situation.
You have to like the call, though. The screen pass is good on a day like today. That defensive linemen start to rush forward. They cannot stop to get back. The problem was Petros couldn't get his footing to head upfield.
With that temperature remaining at -1, now it is becoming very icy in certain parts of the field.
I was just looking here to our left. No one's been down there all day because of the wind and the ice.
First and 20. Good catch. Mike Soroyska coming across to make the reception for a 1st down. And there's a penalty flag back in the Calgary backfield, and they could be bringing this one back as well. 2 consecutive penalties against the Stampeders, some undisciplined play that takes them out of a 1st down situation.
Yeah, it's going to put them at a 1st and 30, and now they're going to have to be content to try to get it back in 2 plays from there. That was a very well-run pattern by Soroyska. The Ottawa defense dropped 4 linebackers short, 4 defensive backs deep. He got right into the middle. All right, you see the linebackers run out of there. The linebackers will go back. Now, the area to hit is behind number 41, Braden. Fodor does a good job, steps to his left, but it's coming back.
1st and 30, Calgary. De La Garza forcing Fodor, and then he is dropped for a big loss by Michael Klein. Gabriel De La Garza was blitzing from his linebacking position. He flushed Fodor out of there, and then Michael Klein finished the job.
Boy, he did chase him out of there in a hurry, and he dropped some more yardage. There's not a chance of them kicking the ball far enough to make the sticks today. You saw him chase him out, and Michael Klein did the thing he should do. Stay outside, keep him contained, and when he pulled the ball down, Klein pulled him down.
Well, Michael Klein back in the Ottawa Rough Rider lineup, and Coach Weber was talking about the importance of Klein to his defensive scheme, and we've seen evidence of just how valuable he is in this ball game. Willis on the sidelines, he couldn't hang on.
Troy Wilson arrived just when the ball arrived, and he let him have it, knocked the ball right out of his hands. Well thrown football right into the dead spot in his zone, but Willis couldn't hold on to it. Another penalty flag, and we'll wait for referee Jacques Decarie to
illustrate to us what the call was.
I think what happened, Don, is I think the flag just fell out of his pocket. I don't think there is a penalty because one of the officials picked it up and took it back to him. So I think it was just fell out.
Yes, that was the case. 3rd and 45. And Glenn Harper is going to have major problems in just trying to reach the sticks.
Not a chance. He can't kick it that far today.
Ball bounces toward Lee at midfield. And Lee is downed inside the 50 of the Calgary Stampeders by Tom Spallettini with 1:05 remaining in the half. At halftime, Scott Oak will be talking with the ex-Ottawa Rough Rider general manager, who will be remaining at his post until the completion of the season, Paul Robson, and we'll also have the first of a 2-part series of marketing the CFL. That's coming up on Inside the CFL at halftime. DeWalt trying to dump that screen off to Jim Reid, and it was deflected by Quincy Williams.
Good job by Quincy Williams. He got fooled on it last time. You sprint out to the left, and then they take the blockers and then hit the screen underneath. Quincy Williams saw it coming, and he stopped the rush immediately and then just batted the ball in the air.
It will be 2nd and 10 Ottawa, 1:02 remaining in the half, 9-3. The Rough Riders leading the Stampeders. DeWalt with lots of time. It's intercepted. Ken Ford picking that ball off and running it back to the 50-yard line. 53 seconds remaining in the half.
When you sprint to your left and bring the receivers on that side into the middle, you are going to get linebacker problems. And he tried to throw it in there, and there's the linebacker, 41. Watch him. He's sprinting to his left. Now he has to set up. From the reverse angle, we see him throw the ball back into the middle. You got linebacker problems in there. Look at all the white jerseys around, and Ken Ford's in a position to pick it off. So again, they let him off the hook.
And DeWalt had lots of time to set up to throw that ball. The offensive line gave him good protection. 1st and 10, Calgary. Fodor continuing at quarterback from the 51-yard line. Sideline pattern, and it's incomplete. It was intended for Dossie.
That's a good example right here of how tough it is to throw the football on a day like today. That defense Ottawa's in, that pattern has to be there, but Dossie can't get turned around. The quarterback can't put it on the money, and they're just, everything's kind of makeshift today. You take what you can get and hope you get lucky.
Well, they have the heavy equipment out this morning removing the snow from the field, and it was clear at the start of the ball game, but with more snow falling during the first half, it has begun accumulating again. Dossie makes the catch for a first down to the 34-yard line. 42 seconds remaining in this first half.
Well, you circle those two backs out of the backfield underneath the linebackers and then bring Dossie right in behind them. Watch, here they come. Here comes Petros. That holds Gatson, then throw it over his head into the hole, and there's Dossie to make the catch.
1st and 10. The ball is spotted at the 35-yard line. Fodor with time. And the catch is, no catch by Andy McVeigh. It was a low throw.
It's a lot better for a quarterback when he can throw the ball straight downfield today because he got his feet set. He can come through natural. You come from the side, try to get it outside. It slips off your hand. It goes anywhere. So most of our completions today have been the ones where they can throw that ball on the line straight ahead.
36 seconds remaining in the half. 2nd and 10 from the 35-yard line. The Stampeders in possession. Carl Fodor, the quarterback. Incomplete. It bounced off about 3 different players before it finally fell to the snow-covered artificial turf, much to the relief of Carl Fodor and to the dismay of those Ottawa defenders who had a shot at a possible interception.
Looked a little bit like volleyball. Pretty good dig, a nice set. All we needed was a spike, and we'd have had it all.
And Vic Lindell to describe it.
That's right. That's a heck of a thing. You see it slip. There it is. It's set up in the air. Now everybody gets a shot at it, and it falls harmlessly to the ground.
McLaughlin will be attempting a field goal from 42 yards out.
This is a tough kick, kicking into that wind. If you look down at this end of the field when the camera pans down there, there's no tracks in that.
This will test the strength of his leg. It hits the crossbar. He needed about another inch and a half to put it through.
Well, they dodged the bullet for the Ottawa Rough Riders. That's the main thing. They're going to take over with 21 seconds left. They should be able to end this half and get to the warmth of the locker room. At this stage of a game like this today, Don, you are looking forward to halftime.
And that snow is wet. I mean, there's a lot of moisture in that snow, and with that wind blowing and the temperature at -1, not only is it cold, but the players are wet and very uncomfortable.
Yeah, you know, this is the kind of time of season when football sometimes isn't fun. You know, you don't mind playing in this, but the practice every day drives you nuts. But you're right, Don. You're wet. All you want to do is get somewhere and get warm.
Roy DeWalt is going to run off the remaining seconds on the clock. But hold it just a sec. When you were quarterback in Saskatchewan, I can recall games where it was snowing, the wind was blowing, and it was miserable at Taylor Field. The Rough Riders love to have teams come into Taylor Field on those occasions.
We used to look forward to it. You know, we knew they didn't like coming in here to begin with, but you put the weather on top of it, we were going to whip them. It was our day. This is our kind of weather. Of course, we had a pretty good running back and a good offensive line.
Yeah, you had life rather easy in those days. Hand off to George Reed about 40 or 50 times a ball game.
Yeah, we used to say in Saskatchewan when Hugh Campbell and George were there that we flipped the coin, and heads George got it, tails Campbell got it. If it stood on end, I got to call the play.
Timeout called with 19 seconds remaining. Ottawa leading by a score of 9-3. The clock will not start until the ball is snapped. So depending upon what happens on this play, as Roy DeWalt goes down to one knee, they may have to kick it.
No,
but not
really.
now, not with 15 seconds remaining, because they can take that time off and they will simply ground it again.
Yeah, they used their timeout. Maybe next year they put another timeout in, have 2 timeouts. You won't be able to do this.
Might not be a bad move.
You got to do something. I sure don't agree with what DeWalt's doing, though. I mean, when you got a 9-3 lead, get rid of this first half and let's run to the locker room right now. Watch how fast they run to the locker room. This is what amazes me. They're there in a hurry.
So at halftime, it's 9-3 Ottawa. Stay tuned for Inside the CFL.
CBC Sports presents Inside the CFL.
Ottawa leads Calgary 9-3 at the half, and welcome to Inside the CFL, which for obvious reasons on this day at Lansdowne Park moves inside. Well, 2 years ago, Paul Robson was the hottest generally managing commodity in the CFL, having built the Bombers into Grey Cup champions. The fact that all general managers and coaches are hired to be fired was driven home on Monday when they came calling for Paul Robson in Ottawa, and after less than 2 seasons with the team, he was fired. He'll stay in his post till the end of the season, and he is with us now. Well, Paul, I guess it's an obvious but still a fair question. Has there ever been any thought given to if only I hadn't left Winnipeg?
No, Scott, it really hasn't. I came down here to try to do some things for this football club, and we got a lot of them done. I think our organization is sound. I think we've done some things in the front office that are going to help this football club. But, you know, just like you said at the top, this whole business is how many games you win. We didn't win enough games. I think we've got some good kids out there that can win in the long term. Specifically, those linebackers are on the field right now. And some of our defensive linemen we feel pretty good about. But I don't have any regrets of any kind. I came down here to get some things done, and I think we've gotten a lot of them. We've got tremendous community involvement in this football club now.
Paul, you've had lots of time to think about this. What moved you from the position of smartest general manager in the CFL to the firing line in less than 2 years?
Scott, you're the same. I'm either the dumb guy that was in Winnipeg or the dumb guy that was in Ottawa or the smart guy in Winnipeg. You don't change. I mean, you do what you do. You know how to run an operation, and you run it. Our situation is we didn't win enough football games, and there's all sorts of reasons for that. There's some player personnel that we weren't able to acquire last year during the strike of the NFL. We weren't able to bring some people in. We got some people in this year. We're a better football team. but it takes a little while to put the whole thing together, and whoever comes in here behind me is going to do it.
Will you be back in the CFL next year?
I don't know where I'm going to be. I'm unemployed right now. I like to stay in football. I love the game. It's been very good to me and my family, and I hope to be. I'm available.
All right, Paul, you are leaving this job with class. We thank you for joining.
Thanks, Scott.
All things considered, Paul Robson has not done a bad job of marketing a losing football team. The Rough Riders have attracted an average of 20,000 fans a game. And when Inside the CFL returns, our focus will be marketing. Stay with us.
Tomorrow afternoon, Anthony Cherry and the BC Lions, trying to secure a playoff spot in the Western Conference, take on the Eskimos at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. The Eskimos are trying to secure first place in the West. Their defense is led by Brett the Toaster Williams. Capturing the moments. The CFL on CBC. BC at Edmonton, tomorrow afternoon at 3 Eastern.
As recently as the late 70s, CFL teams seemed to attract healthy-sized audiences almost by divine right. But these days, not even winning football guarantees fan support. Marketing, a word virtually unheard of in the CFL 10 years ago, is now as important a word as any in the CFL vocabulary. Today, we look at selling football in the East.
Filling the stands, perhaps the toughest job in today's CFL. Coaxing the fans into the seats and finding other ways to make money. That's marketing in the CFL, and each team has a unique approach. In Toronto, the Argos have won the East 4 of the past 6 years, but still have trouble filling aging Exhibition Stadium. Perhaps it's because of the size of their market, where competition for the entertainment dollar is fierce. So the Argos' #1 priority is simply to make sure the fans know they exist.
I put a plan together in my mind, along with Mr. Sazio, saying that the first thing we need to do is to establish a good rapport towards our logo, trying to get some information out in the Metro Toronto area and perhaps all of Southern Ontario, indicating that the Argos are well and alive. And that's when we kicked off our programs by having all kinds of giveaways in the stadium to entice the fans to come and get something in addition to a good football, CFL caliber football.
Next year, the Argos leave Exhibition Stadium for the brand new Sky Dome, where they'll continue to play in the shadow of Toronto's other outdoor attractions. But they feel there's enough sponsor and fan interest to go around.
I believe at the market that we have, I can take my share of the market, but I have to have unique programs in place. And as you, a smart businessman, you're not going to spend your money with me unless you know that I have a menu and I can deliver a certain product that commands a certain price.
The CFL itself is more aware of marketing. Grey Cup Millions is a lottery run in Ontario. First and Goal is the Western equivalent. Neither makes a huge amount of money for the CFL, but that's not their purpose. What the league is looking for is increased fan interest through association with lotteries. As well, Miss Grey Cup 1988 will not necessarily look like these young ladies. This year they've taken off age and marriage restrictions. The winner will be the woman who gives the best speech about the CFL and how it affects her community. 1988's most notable contestant is septuagenarian Pearl Fleming, one of 5 finalists for Miss Ottawa Rough Rider. The winner will be present at Lansdowne Park when the Riders host this year's game, and that's the focus of their marketing scheme.
I think it's been a tremendous boost when it was announced. Obviously, some of the problems that the ball club was facing late last year. I think that people purchasing season tickets, because one, you purchase a season ticket, you're guaranteed that same seat for the Grey Cup game. I believe we've had some people buy season tickets just for that reason. But it's certainly been a boost. We've got a great Grey Cup marketing committee involved in Ottawa with a number of Ottawa businessmen who are really going to put on quite a show, I believe.
To be sure, the on-field riders haven't helped their marketing department this year, but the riders have run several family-oriented promotions, including a performance by one of pro sport's most famous cheerleaders.
I think our overall picture is to added value for our fan. That the fan coming to the ballpark, as well as going to be entertained by a great football game, is the little extras that will be happening. Perhaps it's a concert, perhaps it's bringing in the San Diego chicken, the number of giveaways that we do. So we try to say, hey, you're going to have a great time, and for a $15 or $17 ticket, you've really got some good value.
Tomorrow afternoon, part 2 of Marketing the CFL shows how the West tries to win its fans.
Point of clarification on the Grey Cup Millions lottery. Tickets for it have been withdrawn from sale because they failed a security test. But the problem is with the Ontario Lottery Corporation, which runs the lottery. The CFL has very little to do with it. And speaking of problems, Don, the Calgary Stampeders have some to overcome as a result of that first half.
Seems, Scott, as though there is a black cloud hanging over the Calgary Stampeders as far as weather goes. They have had some horrendous conditions at home at McMahon Stadium this year, but nothing quite as bad as they're experiencing today here at Lansdowne Park.
No, this is about as bad as you get, and they seem to have something going early, but Eric Kramer's going to throw a pass down here that Troy Wilson's going to make his 10th interception of the year on. He just steps in front of Rod Brown and brings it back 20-some yards. And this has been the story for the Calgary Stampeders today. They haven't been able to get anything going offensively. The Ottawa Rough Riders right now are in control of this football game, and when's the last time we could say that?
It hasn't been very often during the course of this season. As a matter of fact, just once, I would think, about August 13th, when they defeated the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 28-17. 9-3 is the halftime score, Scott.
All right, Don, tomorrow afternoon we'll bring you the second half of our CFL on CBC weekend doubleheader. We'll be in Edmonton, where the Eskimos win. They'll move ahead of Saskatchewan into first place in the Western Conference. But if the BC Lions win, they'll wrap up the final playoff spot in the West. That is, if the Calgary Stampeders lose here today. It's all a shade complicated. Suffice to say that tomorrow's game will have a lot to say about who finishes where in the Western Conference. It starts at 3 Eastern. We'll be back.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Carling O'Keefe, brewers of Foster's Lager, the Golden Pro Charmer. Petro-Canada dealers and agents. Our energy is Canada. And by Priority Post EMS Courier, your better business connection in Canada and around the world.
Well, the weather forecast today indicated that conditions would improve and that the snow would change to rain this afternoon. If anything, it is snowing even more heavily than it was about 2.5 hours ago, and conditions have definitely deteriorated. And now it is going to be rather difficult to make out the yardage markings on the playing surface here at Lansdowne Park. Prior to the game, they, with heavy equipment, had removed much of the snow covering the field, and they are still attempting to clean the sidelines so the officials can make the calls either at the end zone, going into the end zone, or along the sidelines. But it isn't what the Calgary Stampeders and Ottawa Rough Riders anticipated as they prepared for this game. Actually, it was a very nice day yesterday in the nation's capital. About 10 o'clock last evening, Ron Lancaster and I were out for a walk, and it was a beautiful night.
It was nice. You know, it was very pleasant, very warm. Now, all of a sudden, I look, it's -2, and it's snowing. We're going to be able to ice skate up here Grey Cup week, I believe.
The Ottawa Rough Riders on the kickoff return. And, of course, on the 27th of November, right here at Lansdowne Park, a 1988 Grey Cup game will be played. The Ottawa Rough Riders won't be in it, but the CBC will be here providing coverage coast to coast. CBC Television, your Grey Cup network, coast to coast.
You know what, Don? I think it's going to be a fun week here. The city of Ottawa, they seem to have everything under control. They got some pretty good people in charge of it. Ronnie Stewart with Tucker and some people that used to play football here. It's going to be a fun week.
1st and 10, the Ottawa Rough Riders at the 50-yard line. Orville Lee trying to get to the outside. He does. And there was a perfect example of what Ron Lancaster has alluded to a number of times. The advantage is with the receiver or the running back. He knows where he's going. He makes his cut. Two people trying to tackle Orville Lee lost their footing and slipped right out of the play.
We're going to get a good look at it here from the reverse angle. He should be tackled right here. But when he turns to the outside, you cannot get your footing. Kenny Ford goes to the ground, and now Orville Lee gets upfield. He's got a shot at that 100 yards today, Don. I'd like to see him get it.
And, of course, the rookie would like to finish the year with 1,000 yards, and he definitely has a shot at that. DeWalt missed the handoff. He slipped as he tried to give the ball to Orville Lee, and DeWalt runs it out of bounds right into the Calgary bench. He'll have a gain of about 5, maybe 6 yards.
All you can do here, you know, when you get to situations like today, you may as well laugh at these situations, even as a player. There's no sense getting upset. He just misses the handoff. He can't get it to him. You see him slip. The main thing was, I'll tell you one thing, with Roy's hands, he could hold on to a watermelon, but he put that ball under his arm, turns outside. He's got the biggest hands of any quarterback in the league.
Indeed he does. He grips that football, and with those large hands, he can almost put his fingers right around that ball. Again, he's having problems with his footing, throws to the sideline, and that's incomplete. There was another case of perhaps he should have taken off, because I think he had room and he opted to run rather than throw to Canavera.
It looked like he had the receiver wide open, and DeWalt has run with the football today, but he figured, hey, I can throw the ball out to the sidelines and get this thing completed, but the ball got away from him. I always get a kick shaking his hand. I mean, his hands are just huge. You would think if anyone had a little bit of an advantage thrown today, it would be him, but it hasn't been good for him.
Tom Dixon stands at his own, or at the Calgary 53-yard line for this third down kick. He angles it towards the sidelines, but it will roll into the end zone, just into the end zone, and Darcy Kopp concedes a single point.
I watched Dixon's reaction. He wanted to kick it out of bounds.
13:28 is the time remaining in the third quarter. Guy Ouellette is manning the camera on the new stands that have been constructed in the West End. And Guy, don't worry about a thing. We'll dig you out about April the 7th. Over on the other side, Bruce Lefebvre with our reverse angle camera. We talk about the difficulties that the players have. It's tough on our cameramen who are attempting to stay in focus and follow the flight of that ball with all that snow that is creating many difficulties. Petros, the ball carrier, and Ben Hummel from his linebacking position came up to make the initial contact.
This Ottawa defense is playing with a lot of enthusiasm today. It seemed like late in the first quarter they got a break and recovered a fumble, and from that point on they've had a lot of emotion, a lot of enthusiasm, and again they are in control of the ball game, the Ottawa defense.
A gain of 2, it will be 2nd and 8. Stampeders have the wind advantage here in this third quarter. They have to try and get something going. Fodor throwing deep. Incomplete. Dawsey, the intended receiver. Derek White was running downfield with him. And Calgary again is forced to kick the ball.
Well, you know, we talked earlier, Don, about how they've been a right-handed ball club. They put Tolbert and Willis to this side, and that's where Ottawa put the double coverage. So he did go the proper read. It's just with the conditions today, it makes it very tough on a quarterback and receiver.
Even the kickers are having difficulty as they try to set up to get that kick away. Glenn Harper's kick is taken by Will Lewis. He did a nice job of dodging a number of would-be tacklers, getting back to the midfield stripe.
That was a good job by Will Lewis. He was able to juke back and forth, jump back and forth without slipping and sliding. He made a good return out of something that really it didn't look like there was going to be anything there.
Now that's the right kind of attire for a day like this. Better not tell Scott Oak that. He'll be over trying to borrow that outfit. Borrowed just about everything else he's wearing today, so why not a fur coat? A gain of about 3 yards. It will be 2nd and 7. Orville Lee running the ball. Statistically, in the first half, the Ottawa Rough Riders had 130 yards of offense, just 65 for Calgary. And the reason for the lack of offense, obviously, the deteriorating weather conditions.
Well, we said, Don, this is the day you call your plays and you hope you get a little bit of luck because you need it.
Here's the pass to Jim Reed, and Jim Reed will get the first down. He fights his way to the 47 of Calgary.
Well, you get a guy with Reed's size on a day like today. You know, there's such a disadvantage when the weather is really nice because they don't have the speed that some of the running backs in the league do. But on a day like today, you see the wall just reach up, dump it underneath, and now Jim Reed brings everybody down to his speed, and with his power, he's able to bounce off a couple of them, get forward, fall, get the 1st and 10.
And David McCrary is the man that Reed ran over, and he is being treated by Pat Clayton, the Calgary trainer, again. He injured that knee early in the ball game, and it has been causing him problems throughout the course of the afternoon. And you know, it's even more difficult running on a slippery field like this. He has no opportunity to get any firm footing, and with that knee a little wonky anyway, it is going to be hurt even more, I would suspect.
Yeah, and about now is the time it's going to start to stiffen up for him, and the pain's going to come, and you try to run around on eggshells out there like this field is today, it puts a lot of pressure on the knee.
So with Ron Hopkins already out of the ball game with that shoulder problem, that means that Derek Taylor goes to the corner, and Bruno Jeremiah, the second backup defensive back, comes into the ball game. Here's Jim Reed putting his head down, and this is where you like to see a big, strong fullback get that opening and just barrel his way forward, and that's what Jim Reed did.
Well, he started to his left, and as we said, not great speed. He planted. He actually got some footing, turned that back to the inside, and found a big hole up the middle. And this is what Ottawa would love to do now, get the ball control game on the ground. It helps them move the ball, and the time runs off the clock.
10:22 remains in the 3rd quarter. This time it's Robert Reed, but he runs into the arms of Quincy Williams after a gain of about 1.
Yeah, Irv Damon is right outside to block, and the blocks are missed, and he run right into Quincy Williams' arms.
I haven't heard any forecast from Edmonton, but I hope things are going to be better tomorrow at Commonwealth Stadium than they are this afternoon here at Lansdowne Park.
There you saw Jim Reed come up to try to block on Quincy Williams. He just threw him to the side, and he was in perfect position to take him head on and throw him to the ground. Yeah, I'd have to hope. I'd agree with you, Don. Our problem's going to just be getting there. Let's get there. We have a good day tomorrow and a good football game.
That game begins at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. The Edmonton Eskimos at home to the BC Lions. DeWalt is having trouble trying to set up to throw the ball. He twice dropped back, tried to set, and both times seemed to almost lose his balance, and he was throwing flat-footed.
When he put that right foot down to plant, it slipped. So he pulled the ball down, recocked, threw it. This time, no good. Into the ground and away from Jerome Erdman, who had moved when he pulled the ball down the first time.
I don't imagine Bob Weber is enjoying conditions any more than anybody else this afternoon at Lansdowne Park, but he likes what he sees on the scoreboard more so than he has seen on most occasions this year.
Oh, he likes that for sure, and he has to like the enthusiasm his club has played with today.
A 37-yard field goal attempt into the wind. It falls short. It will go for a single point. 9:24 is the time remaining, and the Ottawa Rough Riders are in front by 8. Larry Kuharich saw his Calgary Stampeders get on the board first with a field goal by Mark McLaughlin, but since then it's been all Ottawa. 11-3 is the score. The Rough Riders lead it with 9:20 remaining in the 3rd quarter. 1st and 10 Ottawa from the 30, or Calgary, I should say, from the 35-yard line. Carl Fodor having trouble setting up, throwing for Tolbert, and he couldn't make his cut to catch up with the ball.
You know, he slipped coming out from center. He threw the ball immediately. It's kind of a hoper. You just throw it in there and hope your receiver gets it. Tolbert was wide open. He needed 2 steps to get there, and he couldn't make it.
Conditions are almost impossible for everybody.
Everybody. There's not one person that's going to be happy about playing on a day like today. These are the kind you laugh at in the film session because you see so many things that, you know, normally wouldn't happen. But it's tough on everybody.
2nd and 10, Calgary from the 35-yard line. Fodor throwing deep, And it's incomplete. Again, he was looking for Tolbert.
Well, you know, a lot of times you say you shouldn't throw those type passes, but on today, throw it. You may get a little bit lucky, and right now, Calgary needs some good luck.
I think it's probably the best play simply to throw deep, because the player running straight ahead, not having to make any cut, is at least able to go in a straight line.
And there's a chance the defensive back in turning to run could fall down. So, I mean, why not? If you can't run the football, you may as well take your chances throwing it downfield deep.
-2 degrees. The snow continuing to fall in ever-increasing amounts, it seems, here at Lansdowne Park. Will Lewis had that ball land at his side. He was fortunate it didn't bounce away from him. He was able to fall on it, and that's where the Ottawa Rough Riders will scrimmage just short of the 40-yard line.
The difference right now is the Ottawa Rough Riders have been able to make a few plays on the ground with Jim Reed and Orville Lee. Calgary has not. Therefore, they must live with a pass, and this is not a great day for throwing.
Since the early stages of the ball game, the Stampeders have abandoned a ground attack. 1st and 10, Ottawa. DeWalt throwing short of Reggie Ward. I think that's the 40-yard line they're close to, isn't it?
I don't know. They're somewhere between the goal lines, because they did clean those off, but they're fast disappearing again.
The grounds crew here at Lansdowne Park had done an excellent job of getting this field ready for the game. They had to remove about 3 centimeters of snow, and the snow had abated somewhat, and it looked as though it was going to clear off about an hour before the game. But as the game started, the snow began to fall even more heavily, and this is the result. Lansdowne Park artificial surface that is covered in white. 2nd and 10, the ball just shy of the 40-yard line. DeWalt screening to Jim Reed. This has been a successful play, and it produces another first down.
Well, it's a good job. They cleared out the whole area. They even brought the other running back downfield and really got those linebackers, and they dump it underneath. There you see Hudson go by. Now they get the ball to Reed, and watch this. Makes a good move right here. Gets that foot, keeps his balance just far enough to fall forward, and it is a first down with 7 minutes. So, I mean, they're using time, and that's what they want to do.
1st and 10 from the 52. Fake pitch, the handoff straight ahead to Reed. He will get about 2 yards.
It's almost like slow motion. Jim Reed trying to get his footing, and the Calgary defensive line trying to stay up on their feet to make the tackle. Get a couple yards, and that's it.
Oh, and comparing the quarterbacks, Roy DeWalt, who has gone all the way, has completed 8 of 23 attempts for 104 yards. Carl Fodor has been good on 1 of 8, and his predecessor, Eric Kramer, was good on 2 of 8. And they have a total of 37 yards on their passes. This pass intended for Mike Hudson over his head, incomplete.
I almost thought that ball was tipped as it went over the line. It just tipped right over top of everybody.
I think that picture speaks for itself.
It tells the story of the football game, doesn't it? That would make a great scene for a Christmas card. You know that?
It's a little early to be thinking about Christmas.
Oh, you can't when it's snowing.
Faulkner fields the ball. And he was spun around and downed at the 35-yard line with 6:32 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Welcome back to Lansdowne Park in Ottawa, where the snow continues to fall. I'm not sure injured rider receiver Gerald Alpha needs the sunglasses. In any case, Gerald, you've got 3 cracked ribs. That's the season for you.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating, but we all know in this profession that's part of the game, and I'm just going to try to do what I can and give my support to the team.
Gerald, a couple of words on what it's like in the Ottawa dressing room these days.
Well, the morale is a little low, as to be expected, but we're professionals. We have to try to uplift and motivate each other. And as you can see, we're not going to give up until this thing is over.
Thank you, Gerald. Good luck next season.
Thank you.
Don?
I think that was an excellent assessment, Ron, by Gerald Alphin. By the way, Scott, if you need an extra hat, you can probably borrow that one. He didn't have a ticket, but he did buy a program.
That's why he got to stay. He wasn't really knocked out about his seat, though.
First and 10. Again, Fodor over the middle, and it's knocked away. It was almost picked off by Roderick Brown. Larry Willis, the intended receiver.
Good job by Rod Brown, too. He cut underneath Willis, and all. If he picks it off, he's going to be gone because no one will be able to run fast enough to get to this side of the field to get him. Good defense.
Well, I think the Calgary Stampeders strategy here, as we see the goal lines being cleaned, is simply to go straight over the middle.
Throw it down there. Hope for a good bounce, a tip, anything.
It's just too difficult for the receivers to try and cut. It's difficult for the quarterback to set up, particularly when Ben Hummel is in your face.
Boy, Carl Fodor lost his footing a little bit, and when he finally regained that and looked up, he saw number 20 right on top of him. As you say, Ben Hummel comes in from that outside linebacker position. We'll watch Fodor. Now, watch him slip a little bit right here. Now, by the time he gets his footing, it's over. That's his 5th quarterback sack of the season. They like the way he rushes the quarterback.
As Fodor was attempting to set up, he slid about 3 yards, and Hummel was right in his face.
Well, I'll tell you, they get that head of steam up, and you're not going to be able to escape them today if they get that close to you.
Orville Lee runs into one of his own men, and then carries a couple of Stampeders down to the 40-yard line.
That was a good return. Not a whole a lot of running room, but he found enough of it to get inside. He ran into his own man, or he might have broke that for some more.
5:30 is the time remaining in the 3rd quarter. 11-3, the Ottawa Rough Riders lead the Calgary Stampeders. Roy DeWalt, in his first start as an Ottawa Rough Rider, he's gone all the way. Orville Lee with a good hold. He spins his way down to the 27-yard line, stopped by Darcy Cook.
In reality, there really is no reason for Orville Lee to gain any yards on this, but because of the footing, he's moving forward, and they can't stop him. Look, he gets it about 7 yards deep. There really isn't a big hole up front, just enough to squeeze through. And as we said, he gets headed upfield. He's got good size. He's tough to bring down.
He came into the game with 872 yards. He has carried 10 times for 46. Carry number 11, and he picks up about 3 more.
The draw play is not a bad play on a day like today. You know, the back is sitting there, and when you go back and give him the ball, the defensive line has made their charge, and it's very hard for them to change direction, and he'll be through there.
Herrera into the ball game, replacing Mike Hudson. It's 2nd and 7, 4:18 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Ottawa in front of Calgary, 11-3. Jim Reed stopped immediately by Ken Ford. Ford actually caught Reed before he got to the line of scrimmage.
Well, I was watching him bring the play, and as you said with Ken Herrera, it was the right play is to be conservative. You know, they got an 8-point lead. Don't beat yourself. Don't throw it out there where it can be intercepted. But when that happens, Calgary know that too, and they came after him with a blitz, and that's why Jim Reed got nothing.
I imagine most of the players can think of 100 places they'd rather be this afternoon than on the field at Lansdowne Park under these conditions.
I think I'd agree with that.
That's the 33-yard line, the spot that Tom Dixon has cleared for Jerome Erdman to place the tee for this field goal attempt. Dixon slipped as he tried to kick it, and it goes wide in the end zone. Another single point is conceded by the Calgary Stampeders. Dixon was lucky that he was even able to kick the ball, and then even more fortunate, I think, in that he wasn't hurt. As he tried to get that kick away, he slipped. Watch what happens.
I'll tell you, it's amazing that he even got it off the ground. Lucky he doesn't get it blocked and then have it go back downfield and have Calgary pick it up. But it came very close to going through the uprights. That's disappointing.
Well, Tom was having such a good day in kicking that ball, and he can't be faulted on that one.
No, we won't. We can't fault him for that. On a day like today, we'd be on everybody.
First and 10, the draw play with the quarterback, Carl Fodor. That's a pretty good play. He might go all the way. Caught by Troy Wilson. Way down at the 25-yard line.
Well, you know, the Ottawa defense has been lining up in that four-man front, and there are two linebackers right over the center, and then they drop out of there to play pass. This time, Fodor is able to get right between them and get outside and turns it into a foot race. And finally, he's going to be caught behind. I believe it's Troy Wilson that's going to get him, but not before. This is the deepest penetration Calgary has had since the first drive of the ballgame.
All you have to do is take a look at the footprints in the snow down to this end of the field, and there aren't many there. Fodor is really having problems trying to set up, and it's almost intercepted. He threw that right into the arms of Derek White.
He was trying to find some place to throw the football. He had three receivers over there. He messed around with it, and he finally turned back and threw inside. Was very fortunate it wasn't intercepted.
It's second and 10. 2:29 is the time remaining in this third quarter.
Trailing 12-3. Calgary has to come out of here with a field goal at the least. Touchdown would be better, but they have to have the field goal to stay within that touchdown range.
Again, Fodor on the quarterback draw. This time it isn't going to work. Ken Brayton made sure Fodor didn't get away this time.
He just stood his ground. The linebacker did not drop out of there to cover pass until the quarterback would get firmly set up back there. He stayed right where he should, and then when he stepped up, he makes the hit. You see number 41. See, he doesn't go anywhere. He takes 2 steps and stops. Now he's in position to make the hit on Carl Fodor.
But on third down, the Stampeders are going for it. 1:36 remaining in this third quarter. Fodor looking into the end zone, incomplete. Emmanuel Tolbert, the intended receiver.
Well, I guess Coach Gary figures it's a risk to try to kick the ball. We saw Tom Dixon slip and fall, and they've done this all year on third down, but I really think they needed 3 points down here right now.
Quickly, let's bring in Scott Oak.
Here at the Calgary bench, it was Ron Hopkins in the first half. Now David McCrary has lost to the Calgary secondary. The diagnosis is a strained medial ligament. He's out for at least the game. Let's talk traction for a second. Calgary can't get any. The Stampeders were not expecting this sort of weather. As they said, we never got this much snow in Calgary during the Olympics. They brought their ordinary turf shoes, not the multi-cleats. They're having all sorts of problems out there. Don?
Scott, I agree. It looks as though the Ottawa Rough Riders are having a little more success in their traction than the Calgary Stampeders, and this can be a problem for a visiting team. At this time of year, you certainly don't pack extra footwear because you don't anticipate snow in October.
Well, the only thing is, yeah, October I'll go with, but if you get into November, most teams will bring a couple pair of shoes. Each guy will bring 2, but in October, you really wouldn't expect snow. You would expect rain, but not snow.
So with Roy DeWalt running for a first down, we move into the final minute of the third quarter. Orbelee spins away from the first tackler, but he can't escape Greg Peterson. The Calgary Stampeders are fortunate that they have 2 extra defensive backs dressed for this game, as we mentioned earlier. Both Bruno Jeremiah and Darcy Kopp have been inserted into the lineup with Ron Hopkins and David McCrary out, and that has resulted in some juggling. Derek Taylor going to the corner. Greg Peterson moving to 1 defensive back spot. Kopp going to safety. Deep throw. Joel Merdman, the intended receiver, and it was over his head. Greg Peterson was the closest man to it.
See, that's what's surprising about a day like today. Now, DeWalt that time got back and got set nice. He had a nice release. This time, no problem. The ball just sails on him. It was perfectly thrown too far. The last time he tried to throw that, he bounced it 5 yards in front of him.
Well, Scott Oak is staying right on top of things despite the snow and the difficulties here at Lansdowne Park. not too comfortable on the sidelines, and this is a good kick by Tom Dixon. He kicked it over the punt returner Sean Faulkner's head, and on the final play of the third quarter, Tom Dixon with a 50-yard kick, driving the Stampeders back to their own 25-yard line. We'll be back after this. That's not the latest in designer footwear, but it does keep your feet dry, and Bernie Morrison on the sidelines is managing to keep the feet dry and trying to stay comfortable as he spectates at this game. He has been out most of the season, and they have missed their veteran Canadian middle linebacker.
Oh, he's been one of their leaders over the years at that middle linebacking position, and they've played 2 or 3 guys in this year trying to find one. Now they seem to have settled on Doug Landry.
Starting the fourth quarter, Fodor almost slipped as he tried to drop back. It's intercepted, deflected to Kyle Hall. Penalty flags on the play as the safety Kyle Hall is finally dragged down at the 45-yard line, but there was a penalty flag back at the midfield stripe. Mike Soroshka, the intended receiver, kicked off his hand right to the safety, Kyle Hall.
Well, Carl Fodor slipped twice trying to throw it and then slipped off Soroshka's hands right into the chest of Kyle Hall. He couldn't hardly drop that one. The only thing Kyle should have done is when he was being tackled, once they get hold of him, fall down. He's got possession of the ball, and that's what he wants.
The penalty against the Ottawa Rough Riders on the return. So that takes the ball back to the... Where is that ball? I think it's at the 45. The yardage markings have been almost totally obliterated by the snow. Roy DeWalt throwing deep for Watson. Goodbye. He fumbled the ball. He lost possession of the football. When I said goodbye, I was referring to Mr. Watson, not the football.
I'll tell you, DeWalt threw a beauty. I mean, Watson gave a stop and go on the corner, and Major could not come back and get turned and run. Watson made the catch like he was going to walk in the end zone, and he dropped the ball. Watch it. There's the fake. Boy, watch this ball. It's thrown right on the money, and Watson's all alone. But let's see what happens here. There it goes. Now he can't stop to get back, and Calgary gets a big, big break.
Chris Major recovering that ball that was dropped by Remy Watson as he was heading for 6. Pass is complete to Larry Willis. That's a first down, Calgary. I think that's the first down for Calgary, the first down for Calgary in this second half. They only had 1 in the second quarter.
Yeah, they haven't been very strong offensively today. I know the weather's a big factor of it, but they gave up on their running game very early, Don.
Let's call it at the 42-yard line, 1st and 10. Intercepted by Kyle Hall. He's the middle safety. He's just simply standing back there and waiting for the ball. 13:03 remains in the ball game.
Tomorrow afternoon, Anthony Cherry and the BC Lions, trying to secure a playoff spot in the Western Conference, take on the Eskimos at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton. The Eskimos are trying to secure first place in the West. Their defense is led by Brett the Toaster Williams. Capturing the moments. The CFL on CBC. BC at Edmonton, tomorrow afternoon at 3 Eastern.
You know, they threw that pass out to Larry Willis. He ran that pattern and slipped, and then when Fodor threw it down the middle, Kyle Hall never moved. Don, as you say, he just stood right in there, and he made the interception. Now, when he runs with the ball here, he can't get turned. He had to go out of bounds. He couldn't turn upfield with it.
The second interception of the ball game for Kyle Hall. This game has evolved into a comedy of errors, but it has nothing to do with the caliber of the players. I mean, impossible for players on both sides, defense and offense.
You know, the big thing that I've liked about the play of the Ottawa Rough Riders today is that, you know, when you've lost as many games, they could have come in here and just said, the heck with it, let's get it over. But they've played with a lot of intensity and emotion, and that's why they're leading.
Orville Lee out of the ball game. Robert Reed is in. A gain of 1 on that last play for Orville Lee. It's 2nd and 9. Roy DeWalt dumping it off to Jim Reed. The Wilfrid Laurier product bashes his way for a first down to about the 30-yard line.
I think you're right when you say bashes his way. I think, well, we've mentioned it numerous times that this slows everybody down to Jim Reed. He just dumps it to him, but watch him straight upfield with it. Nothing, he doesn't try to be fancy. He just lowers the head, bounces off of a couple people, and runs till they tackle him. If they don't tackle him, we'll run all the way to Bank Street.
6'3", 230 pounds. When he gets up ahead of steam on these playing conditions, he's tough to stop. And he was tough to stop there. He tried to quit moving towards that line of scrimmage and just slid into that no man's area and couldn't stop. So he's going to be called, I'm sure, on the offside. It was Jim Reed who was moving up towards the line of scrimmage. He simply couldn't stop at the line.
No, you know, he's going to have to be very slow moving up there. He's the lead blocker on this particular play, and you see now, there he is. He just couldn't stop, got ahead of the tackle, and that's what the flag's for. They take Reed and Orville Lee out on this first down situation. Say they're going to throw it. Let's see.
Larry Moore and Robert Reed are in the ball game. It's 1st and 15. 11:24 is the time remaining. The fake pitch, the handoff to Larry Moore, and he is surrounded by 3 Calgary defenders, led by Stu Laird and Ken Ford.
Try to hit it straight ahead, but you know, you need a little bit of a crease to run to. He didn't have one, so when he tried to stop and find somewhere to go, it's too late.
A date very prominent in the mind of Larry Moore is November 21st.
I would think so. I mean, he's involved. Is that election day?
The election day.
I would think it would be.
He's very involved politically here in the nation's capital. Second and 15. Jim Reed makes the catch. Can he keep going? Yes. Jim Reed is closing in on 100 yards as a pass receiver this afternoon, most of them on screen passes.
Well, we're going to take another look at this from the reverse angle camera. He is the short man out in the flat. He usually is the guy that tries to hold the defender up there, but no one covers him. He just gets those feet set, and Ken Ford can't bring him down. Now just run straight ahead till they stop you. So Tom Dixon gets another shot. See if he can stay on his feet this time.
6 receptions for Jim Reed for 85 yards this afternoon. 10:33 is the time remaining. 12-3. Ottawa leads Calgary. Tom Dixon doesn't get a chance to kick it as Jerome Erdman couldn't hold down that snap from center. Dumps it off to Robert Reed, but there's nowhere for him to go. 10:19 is the time remaining at Lansdowne Park. 12-3, a snowy Ottawa lead over Calgary.
Mark Moore as the center has gotten the ball high. Watch it again. It's a little bit too high, and when the ball's wet, it'll go right through your hands. So when he tries to get it, it hits the ground. Now he picks it up. He's going to throw it. The main thing was it wasn't intercepted. That's the big plus about it.
First and 10 from about the 40-yard line. Carl Fodor throwing the screen to Tim Petros. Caught by Troy Wilson. You see the problems that the defensive backs have in trying to bring down the ball carriers. They're picking up 2 or 3 additional yards simply because their momentum carries them forward.
Well, they have to be very careful coming up because they can't stop. So as they try to stop, good screen. He releases right with his offensive lineman the way you should. This time he does get turned upfield a little bit. You'll see a good example right here. Troy Wilson trying to hang on to him, and then Dan Sellers comes in to finish him.
The gain of 8 at 2nd and 2. 9:30 is the time remaining.
Yes, yes!
Fodor's pass knocked down. It was intended for Tim Petros. It was deflected. You know, this is the type of game when they hold alumni gatherings in about 20 years, they will say, "Do you remember that day?"
That's right. Yeah. You never forget days like this. And another thing about the fans, they're the ones that'll talk about it. Say, you know, we sat through that game, and everybody will say, why? That's the first question you get. But it just seems like the worse the weather, the more the fans come out. I mean, no one is left over here. I look down here. It's not the biggest crowd I've ever seen, but they've been enthusiastic, and they're having fun.
They're gambling on third down. Third and about 2 yards. The screen attempt was deflected at the line of scrimmage. It was Johnny Lewis who got a hand on the football.
Well, okay, third down, 2 yards, trailing 12-3. The worst possible thing happened. They didn't convert the third down. Now they give up field position to the Ottawa Rough Riders. You see the screen pass trying to be set up. Here they come. Bang, get that big hand up there. Lewis bats it in the air. It falls harmlessly to the ground, and Ottawa is halfway to the goal line.
Well, I don't wish to be accused of second-guessing, but in the third quarter with a 12-3 score, and they had a chance for a field goal down at about the 25-yard line, I think they should have taken it.
I think you had to try it. You got to try to get in with that touchdown, in that touchdown range.
Because now a touchdown isn't good enough to win it for you.
No, it sure isn't, and Ottawa's going to be content. You know, they're going to take their time. Like here, they run the ball first down. Now it's 2nd and 11. If they throw, it's going to be something. They're either going to throw very safe or they're going to throw it deep. I don't think they'll throw it out into the flats.
Orville Lee stopped by Kent Warnock. Orville Lee and Jim Reed go to the bench. Robert Reed and Larry Moore into the ball game for Ottawa.
Offside! Offside!
Hand off to Robert Reed. He runs for a first down. At least it appears to be a first down. This is going to be fun if they have to try and measure.
I think they just, the heck with it. They gave him the first down. That counter play again. This time Robert Reed's the ball carrier, and again, the right side of the line. Nick Benjamin and 54, Herb Damon, get out in front of Robert Reed. Now he gets up into the hole, and now he just keeps the legs moving, and they're not able to bring him down, and as you say, he runs for the first down.
That's really a delayed drop play. They must have been about 10 yards deep.
Yeah,
before DeWalt handed it off.
You call it a counter, but as you say, it looks like a delayed draw. Now, that one, he was so far away from Benjamin and Damon, he couldn't get back.
Robert Reed had to run 10 yards just to get to the line of scrimmage.
Well, here comes the play. They're sending it in. Pal Salvatore just sent, who's the offensive coach here, just sent Orville Lee in with the play.
7:07 remaining. 12-3, Ottawa leading Calgary. Roy DeWalt to Jim Reed. Here's the screen. He's got a first down.
That was figured, Don. The first time they had 2nd down long yardage, they run a counter play with Robert Reed. This time, 2nd down long yardage, a very safe screen pass again to Jim Reed, who's been very reliable. There's Jim Reed is out blocking. Here's Orville Lee, clears it out, dump it underneath. They get Irv Damon and them out in front of it. Nick Benjamin misses his block, but Jim Reed tries to hurdle, but he gets the first down. Very conservative, but effective.
Orville Lee takes the handoff, stopped at the line of scrimmage. Kent Warnock was the first to make contact with it. We haven't had a touchdown scored this afternoon. Remy Watson thought he had one.
I thought he did too, Doug. He had everything but the ball. So again, we're looking 2nd and long. Now let's see again if they run it or very conservative. I don't think again they'll throw it out in the flat to allow Calgary to take advantage of an interception.
Yes, in reference to Remy Watson, one of the prime requisites of scoring a touchdown is taking the ball with you into the end zone. Another screen to Orville Lee, but this time the Calgary Stampeders were ready for it. And Doug Landry came across to make the tackle, and Landry is very slow in getting to his feet. Nick Benjamin collided with Landry at about the same time he came over to make the tackle.
One thing about it, when you get injured on a day like today, it's not a day to lay on the ground. So if you can get up, you're going to get up. Very cold on the body. Doug Landry is the one laying there right now. Pat Clayton coming out to take a look at him.
5:36, the time remaining. A loss here would not totally eliminate the Calgary Stampeders from the playoff race in the West, but it certainly doesn't help.
Look at everybody's trying to clear the spot for Tom Dixon now. It was just him. Now they're all trying to help him. The key right here now is for Mark Morris to get that ball down where Jerome Erdman, who's the holder, can handle it. Don't get it up where it can hit the hands and slide again.
Look at Larry Moore down there trying to move the snow away so that Tom Dixon has a clear path on his run to the ball.
Should have just brought a snow shovel. Borrow one of those guys on the side. Just come on, clear it off.
But first of all, Mark Moores has to get the ball back to Jerome Erdman. He does. Now, Tom Dixon kicks it. It hits the upright. Well, we've had just a little bit of everything. One ball hitting the crossbar on a field goal try, another hitting the upright. The score holds 12-3. 5:16 is the time remaining. Here's Tom Dixon on his field goal attempt. He thinks it's good, but his pleasure turns to chagrin as he realizes that the ball has hit the upright. Now, those are devoted football fans.
Boy, I'll say. At least they came prepared, didn't they?
Throwing deep for Jake Christensen. He hangs on to the ball.
He made quite a catch. A heck of a collision. I think it's Will Lewis, Kyle Hall, and Christensen all arrive at the same time with the ball, and Christensen brings it down. Fodor looking for someone to throw to, pumps it once, just throws it deep down the middle into the hole, hoping his receiver will get it. This time he does, and he hangs on. A great hit by Kyle Hall, but a first down for Calgary. I was going to say, Don, with 4:33 left, 12-3 trailing, they've got to put it in the end zone on this drive. Christensen a little bit slow getting up, and he has every right to be. He probably has a headache.
6'3", 190 pounds, did an excellent job of concentrating on that football. Not only did he have the difficulty with his vision, but he also had Kyle Hall hitting him just as the ball arrived. But the junior grad of the Okanagan Sun gives the Calgary Stampeders a big first down somewhere near midfield.
Let's go, Green! Let's go, Green!
Our spotter, Art Darch, says it's at the Ottawa 52. And I won't argue with him. Fodor trying to get outside, trying to throw to the sidelines, and it's intercepted by Troy Wilson.
I think there was a mix-up on the play. The three receivers came to the left side, and when the receiver went out to the right, he wasn't running a pattern. Fodor rolls out. Watch him. He's rolling out. There's really no one to throw the ball to. The receiver on that side of the field now sees him, now tries to run a pattern. By then, it's too late, and Troy Wilson makes the interception. That's his second today, and I believe his 11th of the year.
You know, in covering Canadian football over the years, about the only game I can relate to this one was a playoff game involving Calgary and Saskatchewan in about 1971 at Taylor Field in a blizzard.
1970.
1970.
And the only thing I would say about that day, Don, is it was a lot colder than it is today. And I'd kind of like to forget that game.
Larry Robinson kicked an almost impossible field goal on the final play of the game into a howling wind from about 35 yards out. Our sideline reporter that day, Scott Oak, by the way, is still recovering. Orville Lee picks up about 2 yards before being stopped by Matt Finlay. Well, still active down on the sidelines. Today's sideline reporter, Scott, how are things?
Yes, if you can see me down here, Don. Well, at the Calgary bench where it's going from bad to worse, shoulder separation is the injury of the day. Ron Hopkins suffered one in the first half. Now linebacker Doug Tank Landry has, so it's this game and then some on the injury list for Landry.
I think when you separate shoulders now, Scott, it's just, you're not going to come back. I mean, you're out for the rest of the season. There's only 3 weeks left. They don't heal that fast.
2nd and 8 from the 37. Ken Ford is into the backfield to grab quarterback Roy DeWalt. And it's an obvious offside call, I think, unless he was drawn offside by a legal procedure. But referee Jacques DeCarry will signal to us what the infraction was. 3:07 remains in the game.
I don't think there was much doubt about that one. Ken Ford had the quarterback before the ball was snapped. I watched Roy DeWalt after that first down play on that counter that he ran, turn around and look at the clock. They're going to be very content just to use up a few seconds and kick that football. And Calgary hasn't shown them they can beat them.
2nd and about 3. Sort of a delayed handoff there that results in a first down with Jim Reed carrying the ball. The Ottawa Rough Riders 2 minutes and 50 seconds away from their 2nd win of the year. Ken Abraire on the sidelines, and I think a toboggan and mittens would be more in order of the day here at Lansdowne Park. And at the conclusion of the game, we'll select the Foster's Lager MVP for this afternoon. Orville Lee, the ball carrier, and Orville Lee with an opening and a gain of about 12 yards.
Well, the
Stopped
one
by
thing we've
Darcy
proven,
Croft.
the one thing we've proven is that it doesn't take much of a hole on a day like today for Orville Lee to get through. A pretty good block at the point of attack, and then he's through there.
Well, Orville Lee now about 930 rushing yards for the season. So with 2 games remaining, he should crack that 1,000-yard barrier. Robert Reed, the ball carrier this time, stopped right at the line of scrimmage. 2:17 is the time remaining.
And the seconds tick away from the Calgary Stampeders. And what was a big football game for them coming in today. The Ottawa Rough Riders have played with a lot of emotion, and they deserve this 12-3 lead.
2 games tomorrow to wrap up the week in the CFL. The Toronto Argonauts at home to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and will be at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton as the Eskimos entertain the BC Lions. Last night, the Hamilton Tiger Cats kept alive their hopes for a 2nd-place finish in the East with a win over the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They'll be here next Saturday, and I'm sure Al Bruno and the Ticats are hoping that weather conditions improve in a week's time.
Everybody hopes they can improve in a week's time. I know Bob Weber and Pal Saltori and that Ottawa Rough Rider football team, although they'll take the win, they definitely would like a little better conditions to play in.
Robert Reed managed to pick up 2 yards on that 2nd down carry. 1:55 is the time remaining. The 3rd down punt coming up for Tom Dixon.
The big thing right now is not how far he kicks it, just if he kicks it. The worst thing you can have is to have it blocked. Just get the foot on it and get it over top their head. Let it roll even. Just kick it.
He gets away a good kick. Bounces to Sean Faulkner at the 5-yard line or the vicinity. And he stopped after a return of about 4.
It wasn't important for distance there. The main thing he didn't want to have happen is drop the ball, a bad snap, or a block kick. If he could have just punched it over their head and let it hit the ground, the way their defense is played today, they got the pressure right where they wanted on the Calgary Stampeders.
Well, the Calgary Stampeders are 138 away from a loss here at Lansdowne Park, a loss that could do even more harm to their somewhat slim playoff hopes. Fodor tried to dump it off.
That ball's free.
There's a penalty flag on the play. Now, not only did he throw that ball backwards, but it was an illegal receiver. Leo Blanchard, I think, was the man that the ball went to.
They're ruling he was in the grass. But when I said the ball's free, the ball went backwards. I was surprised one of those Ottawa Rough Riders just didn't pick it up and walk into the end zone. The referee was hesitant in making that call, and that's why I figured they're going to grab it.
Stampeders with a record of 5 wins, 10 losses. They trail the BC Lions by 4 points.
Boy, Robert Weir ran right over Palumbo, the offensive center. Thank you.
This one is almost intercepted by Derek White. Tolbert was the intended receiver. He had slipped and fallen, and Ron Lancaster said, thank you. It looked as though White had an easy touchdown.
Oh, yeah, when the receiver fell down and you're standing there and the ball's coming, I would just say thank you and walk into the end zone with it, and then he couldn't hold on to it.
I thought earlier that the Calgary Stampeders were going to stay with a plan of Fodor simply dropping straight back and throwing downfield rather than try to go to the sidelines. That seemed to be the most successful means of attacking these weather conditions.
They were closer to completing them then. The only thing that hurt them is they threw 2 to Kyle Hall, but they still came closer to making the big plays when they did that.
Glenn Harper stands in his own end zone for this 3rd down kick. An end-over-end boot that Will Lewis picks up and tries to go wide with on the return. He actually loses a couple of yards. 1:13 is the time remaining. And I would guess this ball is at about the 30-yard line.
Well, I just know that Ottawa has it, and if Calgary wants it, they got a long way to go for a touchdown. So I would agree it's on that side of the field.
Well, we're between the 30 and the 35-yard lines. Or are we beyond the 35? I can't tell you right now. Orville Lee is the ball carrier. All I know is that he's going to get a first down before being forced out of bounds. Moving ever closer to that 1,000-yard mark.
Well, Ottawa finally said the heck with it. They went to their short yardage. Power I with the 2 backs in the backfield and Orville Lee stacked behind him. Give him the ball, starts inside, and then just uses his speed to get outside. He stayed on his feet. Finally, Chris Major shoves him out. But I think we'll just see him line up in that again and run straight at it. With 1 minute left, why not?
Well, the first ballots for the Shenley Awards for the 1988 season are in the mail, and I think Orville Lee is a very strong candidate for Rookie of the Year honors. He gets the call again. He'll score. No, he won't. It looked as though he was outside of the last defender, but Darcy Kopp with a dive stopped Lee from getting into the end zone.
Oh, I thought it was a touchdown from here. Good job by those 2 guys up front. Jim Reed and Larry Moore in the backfield along with Orville Lee. Watch them. Here they come. Jim Reed makes that block, makes the block on the linebacker, got Balkovic on the ground, and then gets Kent Warnock. And as you say, he was outside. Only a dive by Darcy Kopp saved it.
Robert Reed trying to get a first down. He'll score. Well, that will ensure the Ottawa Rough Riders of just their 2nd win of the season.
The Ottawa offense was very, didn't take any chances, but early in the 3rd quarter, they got conservative, throwing the screen passes and so on. Now they just go to the straight power. To heck with it. We know we're going to run. Let's put all our horses in the backfield and run at them. Orville Lee just about broke it. Robert Reed does. Good job again, Reed and Moore up front blocking.
Well, they're maintaining the average that they have had over the last 7 games of 1 touchdown per game. But in this case, that 1 touchdown wraps up a victory. The point after by Tom Dixon. 19-3 is the score with 40 seconds remaining.
Well, Don, you mentioned that this is a big blow to the Calgary Stampeders. You know, you have to win the games you're supposed to win when you're driving for the playoffs, and they just didn't do it today. Ottawa took the game away from them. Well, the reverse angle shows it. There go the lead blockers. Larry Moore's got his man on the ground. Nick Benjamin's outside. All you had to do was shield a guy and then just let Robert Reed run.
Well, you talk about losses, though, that are particularly devastating. I still think that loss to the Edmonton Eskimos last week was the big one.
Well, when you have a lead on the first-place team, you know you want to win that one because it would have made life a lot easier. And then to have it taken away from you the way it happened, then come into Ottawa and lose again, it can just about finish your season for you.
Tom Dixon, 13 points this afternoon. He has kicked well. He started the ball game with a 31-yard field goal. Then he hit one from 20 yards out. Then he came through with a 40-yard field goal. That was all in the first half when conditions were a little better than they are right now. He had another field goal try, hit the upright. He slipped on another one. Well, those Grey Cup tickets are much sought after by the football fans in the nation's capital. Paul Robson was telling us that they have almost sold out their allotment here in Ottawa. And for those of you who will be tuning in, you'll be able to watch all of the Grey Cup excitement here on CBC television, your Grey Cup network from coast to coast. Sean Faulkner on that kickoff return. He is stopped at the 45-yard line by Alex Troop. Well, Bob Weber isn't really certain as to what the future holds for him with Paul Robson gone as general manager. Will the new man be content with Weber as the coach, or will he seek to bring in his own personnel?
Well, all those questions will be answered in a few weeks, but he's got to be awful pleased with the performance today. They gave him a good effort, and they're coming out on top, and I know that's what he wanted. That's what he talked about yesterday.
Fodor trying to screen, won't get a chance. Johnny Lewis makes the tackle.
They want to set up a screen pass to Petros again, and they covered Petros, so he had no alternative, no choice. Pull it down, try to get what you can. Lewis was right there to get him. See Petros at the screen, drops out. Now they're going to try to dump him the ball, but he's being covered. And when you turn those linemen loose, you're not going to have many friendly faces there to look at. 3 of them got to him.
Well, the situation is this now for the Calgary Stampeders. 2 games remaining and trailing BC by 4. The Lions with 3 games left. They have to hope that the Lions lose both ends of their home-and-home series, beginning tomorrow with the Edmonton Eskimos, and the final game of the year against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, while they win their last 2 games against Saskatchewan and Edmonton.
I don't like the chances now. You know, I thought coming into the football game, if they could win here today at Lansdowne Park, then you put some pressure on the BC Lions. But what they've done is put all the pressure on themselves, because even if Edmonton would lose, or the BC would lose all their games, there's no guarantee they'll win another one.
Bob Weber accepting congratulations on the sidelines for his team's 2nd win. And this should be the final play of the game. Well, the fans in attendance this afternoon are reacting rather enthusiastically for the 2nd win of the season by the Ottawa Rough Riders. Michael Klein chasing Fodor. And Fodor runs out of bounds.
He slid out of bounds.
So the Ottawa Rough Riders win it 19-3. Stay tuned for our post-game show. Well, under very difficult conditions, our selection for the Foster's Lager MVP was Ottawa kicker Tom Dixon. 13 points in today's ball game, 3 field goals. I think we owed him one. We've been kind of critical of some of his efforts in previous games this year, but today, under extremely difficult conditions, he kicked well.
Extremely well. You know, 40 yards has been out of his range this year, but yet he kicked it through. And when they really needed a punt in the 2nd quarter against the wind, 50 yards, and got him out of a hole and put Calgary in trouble. And I think that the kicking game today went to the Ottawa Rough Riders. Therefore, he's our MVP.
So the Ottawa Rough Riders win it by a score of 19-3. Scott?
Well, Don, when you haven't won a football game since August 13th, any victory is bound to feel like a Grey Cup celebration. The Rough Riders are entitled to this one. The Calgary Stampeders, in the meantime, have done themselves no good whatsoever as far as advancing to postseason play is concerned. Mathematically still alive, but they could be dead by this time tomorrow if the BC Lions win. And tomorrow, providing we can get out of Ottawa, we'll be in Edmonton to bring you the game between the Eskimos and the BC Lions. The Eskimos trying to move into sole possession of first place in the Western Conference. For now, we bid you goodbye from Lansdowne Park in Ottawa.